Hello, wonderful people of the internet. Welcome back to another episode of Simuleo. So, what's up today? So let's go ahead and open up a new terminal, open up Zero PP, and let's just talk about what needs to be done. So as of yesterday, we had a bunch of discussions about ELO and kind of the appropriate rating and all that kind of stuff. And then Nick, who is currently in chat, introduced me to a new app that we tried, or rather, I got started on stream on Heroku afterwards, which was kind of sort of a solution to the problem that we have with the Summer of Math exposition. So I wanted to work on that again this afternoon, but there's a lot of little things there, and so I'm not really sure if I want to do it on stream today or if I should do it later. So I'm going to put that on the back burner for today and instead focus on other things. So this way I have time this afternoon to really dig into it a bit more. I did get kind of a basic app up and running, but that was kind of where I was at. Let's see, what do we have here? A silent entry, hey, how are you doing? Thanks for coming in. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. Using a bit of globbing magic as standards, we could probably have runners set up for the primary languages, and they would compile and run the program that have the same name. Those could be diffed, and all the results could be attached to the PR. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So in each PR, we could... Yeah, no, that's super cool. I like that idea. The other thing too is if we could have like a set of tests, make the issue, and I'll think about if we can extend that framework to doing more like complicated things with it and stuff like that. There were some discussions we had a few days ago about the future of this Twitch stream and all this kind of stuff. I won't be able to follow your stream. That actually, now that you are streaming from Japan, time zones are like 4 a.m. right now. Yeah, I totally understand. So it used to be when I was in Japan, I would actually be streaming from 5 to 7 o'clock a.m. Japanese Standard Time, which, if it's 4 o'clock a.m. for you right now, would have meant that it's like maybe 10 or 11 o'clock or something at night, which is kind of sort of manageable for a lot of people in Europe, which is why a lot of my audience came from Europe. However, I can't do that right now because I'm in like a single room apartment with my wife, and streaming from 5 to 7 in the morning just doesn't make that much sense because it's gonna, like, the only way to do it is to wake her up, and it's just kind of a pain. So with that said, I just have to stream at times that I can manage, which are, starting somewhere in between 9 and noon every day. I really do want to start at 9 o'clock a.m., but every day I kind of, like today I had a meeting from 8 to 9, and then there was stuff I had to decompress from the meeting, and all this kind of stuff. So it's just been stuff that I have to do. So sometimes I don't get started exactly on that time. The other thing to say too is, there's just a lot of, I don't know, I'm doing my best to manage time zones, but I'm just not going to be able to for the next few weeks. But from there, I will be going to Barcelona, and unfortunately, I don't think there's a single time zone I can stream at in Barcelona that will be good for everyone. Will we ramp up the PR reviews? Yeah, so I'm intending to do at least one PR review a day. Sorry about that. Because, we've got so many to go through, and I know one a day doesn't sound like a lot, but it's just something that needs to be done. And so I figure if I do 1 or 2 a day, we can get through them hopefully by October. And then if we get through them by October, that leaves room for Hacktoberfest and stuff like that. Really, I am trying to ramp up just the stuff I've been doing for this channel. Not just the channel, but the algorithm archive, all the YouTube stuff to go with it. I really have been trying to build it into something bigger than what it has been. It's just a lot of stuff to keep track of. So I apologize that it seems like I'm moving slow, but it is what it is. Yeah, I don't think I have too much more to say about that, except, I am genuinely trying to think of ways that we can, ramp up the stuff that we do. So I was talking about recently I put out a video about the approximate counting algorithm, and a lot of people hated it, but then there were a lot of people that actually really liked it. And I had a few people mention that, they'd never really seen anything like that before, and that made it interesting in its own right. I don't know, this kind of further incentivizes me to start working on more like research things that I know people haven't seen before, thinking about ways that people haven't really thought of before, if that makes sense. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, this is kind of what I want to start focusing on, which is why, again, the stream title is Unapologetic Research Stream, and that's kind of what we're focusing on. I do realize that, I have no viewers right now, but hopefully, as this becomes more of a regular thing, people will be more likely to watch, you know? We'll see. I have no idea. You know, I personally think that this type of stuff is really cool, but I really don't know how to proceed from here, you know? Like, yeah, I don't know what to do. But I do recognize that, like, you know, the way that I'm currently working, I don't know. I really don't know if I should be focusing on like one big video or a bunch of smaller videos, if I should be streaming everything I do or just parts of what I do. I don't know if I should be, you know, I don't really know. So I think I'm just going to have to go and just make as much stuff as I can. And as long as I'm happy with the stuff I'm making, that's good enough for me. And so that's kind of where I'm leaving that discussion for now. So for today, I want to talk about something a little bit different than what we have been talking about. Oh my gosh, I'm yawning. Wow, wonderful start for the day. I want to talk about expression trees. Expression trees. Okay, so here's the thing. Expression trees are basically ways in which we can represent equations and stuff like that in a way that a compiler can understand, right? Now, this also is related to abstract syntax trees, ASTs, which are probably more common. Like, you've probably heard of ASTs and you may not have heard of expression trees. And the reason I don't want to talk about ASTs is because there is a bit of a difference between the two. So expression trees are useful for like general equations. Whereas ASTs are useful for general code syntax. So the difference is that, you know, equations can be somewhat easily parsed, with, you know, parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, PEMDAS, order of operations, this type of stuff. Code syntax has an additional, like, you know, thing to keep in mind here. Like, for example, you have to think about conditionals. You have to think about you know, like loops and things like that. And I don't really want to deal with that. It's very similar to what we're dealing with now, but I just don't want to have to touch it. So today, I kind of want to just like go back, remind myself of some of the stuff that we've done with expression trees in the past, and kind of work on that a little bit more. Good, I need to build an AST next week. It's actually way easier than you might think. I say, having done it multiple times, but it's... Yeah, okay, maybe it is a bit complicated the first time you do it. Okay, so let's start with... So the thing about abstract syntax trees, there was a time, a long time ago, I must have been freshman year in graduate school. So I'm rambling a bit, but just hear me out. There's a logic to this ramble session. So I just entered OIST, the Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology, and I knew I was very interested in computation, but I had absolutely no idea like what to do, where to go with that knowledge, right? And OIST, unfortunately, didn't have any computer science. So I rotated through 3 different units. One experimental physics unit, another theoretical physics unit, and then a neurobiology unit. Now, the way OIST worked is you're supposed to go through 3 different research units, 2 in-field and 1 out-of-field. My out-of-field rotation was technically neurobiology, but really and truly, the experimental physics unit was the most out of field of the 3 that I did. In the neurobiology research unit, I remember just sitting there, you know, trying to figure out what I was supposed to do for the project. And that project, for the record, was building an analog electronic brain, which to this day was the coolest thing I think I've ever done. And I was like, man, this is so cool. I really want to do it. And then someday I just sat there and I was thinking, I was like, man, I don't know how to do this. And I created basically a meta compiler using essentially expression trees before I knew what they were. Like, basically what I'm trying to say here is that expression trees were the thing that made me like very strongly realize that I'm actually not super interested in the science part of computational science. I'm very interested in the computation itself, because the act of reasoning out how to take an equation or take any string or any bit of logic and reason it out into individual components that work together in some fashion, I thought was really cool. Again, it is a bit weird. I don't know exactly why I went on that ramble session, but the point was that this is actually something that I actually really enjoy and I think is really cool. And so, yeah, at some point it might seem during this stream that we're kind of just like, I don't know, going into terse definitions or mathematics or this kind of stuff, which is kind of true. But thinking about how to actually write this in code, I don't know, it's actually really fun. And I'm hoping that some people actually try that out on their own. Okay, so let's again start with expression trees. So let's say we have an equation that's like, I don't know, x squared plus 2x plus 1 or something like this. This is a quadratic equation. What we can do with this is we can actually split it up into a tree, which is basically a set of operations that are easy to solve. So we're going to have the plus operator with maybe a multiplication operator over here. And then we'll have 2 and x. And then we'll have a plus operator over here. And we'll have 1. And then we'll have maybe another multiplication operator. And then x and x. In this way, what we've got is a list of leaf nodes here, which I will color here. And then we also have a list of operator nodes, which will be in pink. So that's going to be here, 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 and here. So that's this guy, and then what's combining these guys and these guys. And so the idea here is you basically have the operators as like internal nodes, and then you have the actual numbers of the things that you're multiplying as leaf nodes. Now, there's a lot of easy ways to do this in Julia, and I'm just going to open up a terminal and kind of hack away at it. So we're going to cd into projects, simuleos, really quick, ls here, and what do we have? I'm not sure if I already have a directory for symbolic utilities or not. It doesn't look like I do, so let me go ahead and open up a new directory, which is going to be symbolics. cd into symbolics, ls here, and let's just run Julia. Okay, now it's been a long time since I did this, so I'm just going to have to remind myself of how it works. I remember there's like a way to get an expression tree out of Julia relatively easily, but I don't remember exactly how, so I think it's using symbolic utils. Pretty sure, add, nope, add sim, every time. Every time I try to add something, I do 2 S's instead of 2 D's. I don't know why, but that's just a very common error I have with Julia. Let me go ahead and get some water. Okay, so once symbolic utils is added, I'm actually going to hop on over here, and I'm just going to go to symbolic utils Julia and see if there's some stuff I can do here. I remember there were a lot of easy ways to do this, but I don't remember any of them. Yeah, I don't remember any of them at all. So what I'm also going to do is go over here and go to github.com and look up a package that we did called Impero. And I'm just going to kind of poke around at this as well, because it's been a long time since I did this, and I honestly, like, look, this has not been updated in like 9 or 10 months. So let's see, what branches do we have here? Probably nothing important. I think everything's still on the main branch. So let's just go to the documentation here. And then we also have design docs. Oh, I forgot that we had Impero design docs. Mr. Sarcastic, how would rank math, physics, and computer science in terms of solving important problems in the world? Only so much time in a day, and one could spend a lifetime in each of these fields. Oh yeah, no doubt. So there's actually a very important point here. Right, I was going to make a video on why I left MIT, where I was going to talk about why it's important not to compromise on your own research ambitions in a way, and why if you have something that you're interested in, you should just do it. Because that's kind of the mentality I have right now. Let me go ahead and turn the music down a little bit on my end, just because it's a little bit loud. But here's the thing. When it comes to what is solving the most interesting problem, I don't think that particular, I don't think there's an answer to that question. And so the reason I bring up this discussion about why I left MIT and choosing a research path and all this kind of stuff is because, let's just write down a bunch of fields. So we're going to do, oh, I cannot draw a straight line right now. There we go. So let's do bio, chem, physics, computer science, math, right? And of course we have the other fields, which, psychology, all of these things, right? So, very commonly biochem and physics are kind of wrapped up into like the big 3 of sciences, right? So if you're in a science field, probably you've done some amount of biochem and physics and stuff like that. Computer science and math are also sometimes combined in a very similar fashion, right? Like typically, specifically theoretical computer science is close-ish to mathematics. And mathematics itself is obviously, very far away from any, well, pure mathematics. You also have applied mathematics. But typically you think of mathematics as kind of this thing that isn't immediately useful now, but will be useful in like 10, 15 years or something like that. Or maybe even 100 years, who knows? And then you have the more social studies, which are like psychology and, all this kind of stuff. And the question is, what is the most important? Well, I don't know. It depends on what you think is the most important thing to focus on, right? Like, let's take climate models, for example. Well, let's say, you think the number one issue facing the world today is, the climate disaster, the, global warming, all of this kind of stuff. Well, you might ask, okay, what field should I go into for that? Well, you have a lot of physics, obviously, so physics would probably be good. But, you're also going to have to do a lot of bio and chem. A lot of the models that you're going to be doing for atmospheric science require knowledge of how to do things in bio and chem. And of course, they're all numerical models, so you probably need to know a bit of computer science, and everything's written in physics, so you need to know a bit of math. I guess my point is that, these kind of rigorous definitions of like what field is the most important and why isn't exactly the most important way to think about research, in my opinion, nowadays. I think the most important way to think about research is as like a series of interdisciplinary research thrusts, like climate science is a mix of a bunch of different fields. And so sure, there are people who specifically study climate science, but you need people from all over to solve that problem, right? Let's say another problem you want to solve is, electric vehicles and stuff like that. Well, again, you're going to need to know at least chemistry, physics, computer science, and math, right? Right. I agree. I was going to get to the second part of the question. Mr. Stochastic then says makes sense. So perhaps I should amend my question to ask what distribution of time to spend in each. So this, I'm sorry I'm getting super philosophical here. Maybe I'm not giving the best response, but what I would say is the following. Let me do this in yellow. There is a difference between experts. Okay, what constitutes an expert, right? What is an expert? That's a super good question. I don't really have a good answer to this, except maybe with a scale here known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. Dunning-Kruger. I don't know how to spell that. Something like this, maybe? But what it is your knowledge on a subject over here, knowledge, and your believed knowledge, what you think, how much you think you know. Okay. How good you feel. All right, I'm doing a very rough job at this, but essentially, if you know nothing about a field, you're at zero. You know nothing about a field, and you don't feel very good about it. But if you know just a little bit of knowledge, what happens is you feel really good. Like you feel like, oh man, even if you just know a little bit about physics, you feel like, you could have probably written a piece of code that landed astronauts on the moon, right? If you know like so little about a topic, you feel like you know a lot, right? But as you learn more and more, this very quickly drops down, and then it slowly ramps itself back up again, right? This isn't the exact curve, it's something like this, but the fact is that, you see a lot of idiots out there in the world who claim to know a lot of things, but don't actually know anything about that topic because they feel like they know a lot just because they have that little baseline of knowledge. So what is an expert? An expert is probably someone who has passed this valley in here. Someone who is well beyond the Mount Idiot over here, and has crossed this valley and is now kind of climbing up this way. So I would classify an expert as someone who is willing to learn and understands what they don't know. People who know what they don't know probably would be considered an expert in this field. So, an undergraduate physicist, I could consider an expert physicist if they're willing to, listen and attack problems from multiple angles. The reason I bring this up is because your distribution of time, of how much time you spend on a particular topic, depends on what you want to be an expert in, right? Like I said before, no matter what topic you're going to be covering, it's going to require an interdisciplinary approach, right? And so, depending on who you're working with, if you're working with a lot of biologists, well, probably biology is covered, and you probably don't have to spend too much time focusing on biology, and instead focus on computer science or physics or whatever you feel is most useful to you, right? But at the end of the day, the answer is, for me personally, I find computer science questions to be way more enjoyable to answer. And so for me, my distribution of time heavily leans towards computer science and computational science. C252, I only have time to pop in and say hi, but I hope you guys are all doing well. That is 20 Simule Cows in the chat. Let me go ahead and put those in. Simule Cow, 20 of them, so I've got one, and let's do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 in the chat. So again, I do apologize. It's a super kind of like rambly and kind of soapboxy response, but I do feel like, you know, you spend enough time in an area to become an expert, or rather to be able to, you need to spend enough time in an area to be able to talk to experts, right? So you need a baseline knowledge of everything that everyone's working on in your project. So if they're doing bio, you need a little bit of knowledge in bio. If they're doing chemistry, a little bit of knowledge in chemistry. But for the most part, you want to get to this point where you're an expert in the field. You get to this point where, you know, you're on this curve. And I would say that, you know, once you're on that curve and you're contributing to a project in a way other people can't, that's the best you can hope for. I do apologize that, again, it's a bit rambly and maybe a bit soapboxy, but that's my honest opinion. Mr. Sarcastic, thank you so much for the subscription as well. I'm going to put 2 Simule Cows in the chat for that. You know, at some point, maybe I should create a bot that does this, but, you know, for now, I think it's fine. But yeah, C252, Mr. Sarcastic, thank you guys so much for the subscriptions. I really do appreciate it. I mean, you guys have seen that I am trying to stream every day from now on. And so this is why, you know, I've been doing my best to make sure that I'm contributing on Twitch as well as my other platforms more than I used to. And I, on the other hand, Nick says, and I, on the other hand, prefer very hands-on fixing, which is why I do DevOps. I totally agree that it's a really personal thing to each person. Right. You know, yeah. I don't think there's like one universal answer, because like if you ask anyone, oh shoot, I just hit the microphone, I apologize for that. If you ask anyone, you know, how do you fix the world, right? Like almost everyone says there's something wrong with the world, right? Everyone. I can't think of a single person I've ever met that's like, yeah, the world's great, you know? Okay, maybe I've met a few people like that, but it's very rare for someone to say universally everything in the world is perfect. You know, almost everyone says there's a problem, right? And the question is, what is that problem? How do you fix that problem, right? And hopefully your career, in some way, shape, or form, addresses that problem. Whether it be the fact that people are not technically illiterate, or it be the fact that, you know, climate change is going to just absolutely destroy future generations, or whether it be whatever it is, you know? The fact is that you've kind of got to decide for yourself what it is that you feel is the most important problem to tackle, and tackle that problem. Again, super, I don't like the answer I just gave, but I feel like it's the best answer I can give right now. But good question. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, so what's next? Back to expression trees. I'm all over the place, and I apologize for that. I used to know how to deal directly with the Julia compiler. Am I frozen? In order to get abstract syntax trees and stuff like that. Maybe it's because I'm very self-critical, but I found that my perception of my knowledge level is usually less than or equal to my actual knowledge level. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, actually. Like, if someone asks me, do this thing, it's like, yeah, I can probably do that thing. If they ask me to do anything, I can probably do it. But almost always, I will defer to other people, and I will let them do it instead. Not because I feel like I'm unqualified, I feel like I could do it, but because I feel other people are better qualified, right? Even if it's just like a random stranger on the side of the road, like I'm pretty sure they know more about physics than I do. And I'm like, wait a minute, I have a PhD in physics. Surely I know more, but it just in my head, I always have this feeling that I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel like it's really important to hear and listen to other people, no matter what level of opinion they have. Admittedly, there are some side effects here, right? Like if you take too much time to listen to people who clearly are just trolling, that's one thing. But usually it's pretty easy to get rid of trolls just by, you know, making them feel bad and then they stop being trolls. I don't know how else to put it, but it's usually not so bad. Okay, so let me see what can I do here. I think there's a way just to grab an expression. So let me see if I can find the expression logic in Julia and go from there. So let's do Julia expression trees, maybe? trees, something like this. This is trees and Julian. No, that's not what I want. I want expression trees specifically. I misspelled expression. 1 second. Okay. Metaprogramming, maybe this is what I want. And let's see what we can find. Anyway, gotta go. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming in, C252. Have a wonderful evening. And yeah, I'm gonna be around way more frequently from now on. Like, basically, my life has been in chaos for the past N months, where N is high. But I kind of see light at the end of the tunnel. I've got like 30 different projects I really want to work on, a lot of which are very heavily influenced by like different research and stuff like that. And so I figure, you know, let's just get them done, you know? So that's why the stream is now more or less an unapologetic research stream, and that's what we're doing. But I just want to let you guys know that I am really, really, really trying to like get back into things and start making things again and get people excited about this type of research and all that kind of stuff. Just because, I don't know, I feel like I've been letting everyone down. In fact, in some ways I know I have based on my statistics. So kind of starting from scratch again, rebuilding the audience and kind of building things back up again. And hopefully in the next few months we can get back to where we were in 2018, essentially, before I started my PhD thesis. Okay. Yeah, same. School and work kept me very busy. I really miss the algorithm archive and the community. Honestly, yeah, I don't know what I did, but I just let the community die. And I'm like, man, I feel so bad about it. You know, like, I mean, okay, fair enough. Like, if the community died because I wasn't there, like, fine. Maybe it wasn't that great of a community to begin with. You could argue that, but I don't think that. I think the community was actually really nice. It's just that, you know, like, if a video game doesn't get development, people don't play it anymore, right? They go through the whole thing and that's it. And that's kind of what happened. Like, I just didn't give people the opportunity to really express themselves, and I was, you know, holding back all the pull requests, and I don't know, I just didn't do a very good job. So I got to do better. That's where I'm at. Wow, pure research, no gish galloping about Madman. I don't know what gish galloping is, but, oh, gish galloping. Gish galloping? Yeah, probably gish galloping. But no, yeah, we're just, screw it. It's a research stream. That's what we're focusing on. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, let me know. It's not your fault. A lot of us got busy. For example, Trash Talk, JSBP me, and some others started uni, which is not your fault. No, and actually, I'm very happy. Like, you know, Gatherus, for example, mentioned that, you know, the stuff he did for the algorithm archive really helped him get a job. And there's a lot of other people in the community, like the very strong members of the community who were active like all the time. They've all been mentioning how useful this was for various reasons in their actual life. And I'm really happy to hear that. But that doesn't mean that we should just give up on the project. I think we want to keep going. And it's just a matter of getting back into gear, you know, kicking myself back in the butt and just doing stuff, you know. I'm going to move the microphone. Sorry about that. Just move it a bit closer. I think that should be fine. Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, during the PhD, I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, every morning, to do a live stream. And I was devoted. You know, I did nothing but work. And I'm not saying that that's exactly healthy, but what I am saying is that I got a lot done. And yeah, same, I got a programming internship job for an AI company now. That sounds amazing. I'm super happy to hear that. Yeah, like, I'm super happy whenever people in the community are like, you know, they say that working on this project helped them get somewhere, you know. So much of that is thanks to you in the community. I just, like, that's exciting, like, super exciting to hear. Like, I mean, in some sense, that's why you do it, right? Like, sure, you do it so that you can get people excited about programming and stuff like that, but there's more than that. Getting people, like, excited to their next job is, like, another level, and I'm happy. Like, I'm happy to hear that. I guess I don't really know what else to say, but I'm happy that it sounds like you're happy, and know that, you know, no matter where the community goes, you know, for example, I haven't seen Kramsfacel in ages. I mean, you weren't even here during the era that they were present. But the fact is, you know, we're here, you know, and you know, if people leave and they come back in a month, or if they never come back, that's still okay. The fact is that that's how online communities work, and, you know, hopefully, no matter what, when people leave, they can still come back and we can chat, you know, whenever they come back. So that's the hope. I know I sometimes we're in and out, but the hope is that, you know, this community will at least stick around, you know. But anyway, back to abstract syntax trees and Julia parsing and all this kind of stuff. Okay, I'm now vaguely remembering things. So I think if we do this, x plus y, note, we have not defined x or y yet. We should get some sort of tree, and I'm just going to say expression expr is going to equal to that, and if I do expr of 1, I think we get, what is it, expr dot args of 1, we should get x. Oh no, we get the plus operator. 2 should be x, and 3 should be y. Okay, so in this way we've created a tree with the plus operator as the root node, and then x and y as the 2 subnodes. Okay, good. It's been a while. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm just like, I'm trying to remember all the stuff that we did, and it's hard. I don't remember much of it at all. Okay, and there should be some sort of evaluate function. So let me just define what x are. So now I'm going to define x as equal to 2, and I'm going to define y as equal to 3. And I think there's like eval, and I'm just going to do eval expr, and we should get 5 out. Perfect. Okay, good. So at its heart, an expression tree is just a way in which you can combine operations. And that right here is how you can combine operations in Julia in a super straightforward way. Now, you might have noticed that I looked into a package called symbolic utils. Let me see, what do we have here? Symbolic utils Julia. What this is supposed to do is extend the symbolic utilities in Julia. So when I say symbolic utilities, I'm specifically talking about abstract syntax trees and this type of stuff. And I guess before going into this, let's talk about the reason why this is interesting. So let's do journal new page before. Actually, let's just go back down here, maybe. Right. Okay. So why is this interesting? I'm going to draw a line over here. Abstract syntax trees are interesting from a compiler's perspective, right? If you're writing compilers for any programming language, you're going to have to deal with abstract syntax trees or expression trees or something like that. But I do computational science. So why are abstract syntax trees interesting for computational science? I can do it. There we go. So why are they interesting for computational science? The answer lies in partial differential equations. So you might be asking yourself, what's a PDE? I'm sure almost everyone has seen, okay, not almost everyone, but a lot of people watching this chat know what a PDE is. But for those of you guys who don't, it's a something like this. So d by dt of psi is going to be equal to d by dx. There's like an IH bar in there that I missed. IH bar d by dx plus v naught psi. So this right here is the Schrodinger equation. It's a basic wave equation. And what it's saying is that as your wave, your system, psi, moves with time, every step of your simulation will be dependent on its spatial coordinates, i.e. the derivative along space, so what's left and right of it essentially, and then also some forcing mechanism, something that kind of keeps things in line. So for example, if your V naught is a cup, something like this, maybe 1/2 omega squared x squared, and your psi is a Gaussian in here, you'll know that your Gaussian kind of wants to slosh back and forth around in its cup or something like that. It's basically, if you want to solve physics problems, you're going to run into partial differential equations. So why is this interesting, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and take this. Mika raid. Oh, Mika314, thank you so much for the raid. I really do appreciate it. How's your stream? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Yeah, so we're talking right now, for those of you guys who might have just come in, we are talking about abstract syntax trees and expression trees and stuff like that, and how you can use this type of stuff for computational science. Again, it is an unapologetic research stream, so we are going to be hitting a bunch of different topics that may or may not be interesting to a lot of people, but hopefully it is interesting, and hopefully if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, you can ask. Again, I hope the stream went well. Feel free to talk about it in the chat. Okay, so let's say we wanted to write this into an abstract syntax tree. Let's just take this part of the equation to start. And what you might notice is that there's a big multiplication over here at the end. So, we probably need to multiply that out and put it into a different form. But for example, we have two different variables, IH bar, d over dx, psi. And then we have v naught times psi. So we're adding those together in the end. So we're going to have a plus sign. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do all of the operations on top of this. So we'll have a plus sign there. And then we're going to have a multiplication. 1 second here. That's my multiplication symbol. Just deal with it. And this is going to be times another multiply of I and h bar. And then over here, we're going to have d by dx. Ooh, that was meant to be an x, but I did not write x appropriately. Onto psi. Sorry, I'm losing space. And then this guy over here turns into a simple multiply of v naught and psi. Okay. And like before, we have a bunch of operators, which I've highlighted in green, and a bunch of leaf nodes, which I'm highlighting in blue right now. I'm working on building editor for my game. Made good progress. Oh, happy to hear that. What's your game, actually? What are you focusing on? Now, as a person who is bad at math, I think I will still watch anyways. Well, thanks for being here. I know a lot of people are bad at math. That's just how it happens. But if you have questions, ask, and I'll do what I can to answer it. Even if it's like a super basic question, like how do you add two vectors or something like this, still totally willing to answer those questions. Because again, these are good questions to ask and good questions to answer. Okay, so we have then all the operators in green. So green is an operator. I think I'm just going to do this. Operator. And then we have blue as the objects. I'm not excellent at math, but I love this as I learn tons. Cool. Thanks for being here. But no, actually, I mean, for those of you guys who don't know, Nick is like an amazing developer, like way better than I am at a lot of this kind of stuff. And so he's been helping a lot with the algorithm archive. Yesterday, we spent like an hour together just trying to figure out some of the building infrastructure for the algorithm archive and stuff like that. So it's really good. It's an ARPG about near future where all people somehow have got supernatural abilities. Okay, I'm going to ask a stupid question here, and please don't be mad. But what is an ARPG? I know an RPG. I know a JRPG, I know an MMORPG, but what does A stand for? Action? Role-playing game? Like, what style of game is that? So what is an action? I can Google it, actually. Action RPG. So what type of game is this? It is, okay, so, like League of Legends type of thing, I guess? Oh, or is it more like, what's that game with the demon guy? I'm so sorry, what is that guy? The Diablo. Yeah, I may be on it. So when I was younger, I was afraid of buying Diablo because I just didn't like the guy on the cover. He kind of scared me, and so I didn't want to buy that game. League is MOBA. Okay, good. Diablo is a game. But no, like, I was actually terrified of that game when I was younger, just because I hated the guy on the cover. He just freaked me out. And so I was like, nope, not doing that. But now that I think about it, wait a minute, was that Diablo? Diablo cover art. I swear there was one that was, yeah, they scared the crap out of me. I was like, I don't want to buy this game. Like, this thing scared me to death. And then, like, I watched people play the game. I was like, this game's not scary at all. Why was I, like, what is going on? Why is the cover art so different than the game, you know? 1 second. Let me move the microphone a bit. Okay. So, there was something else I wanted to talk about while we were here. Not necessarily about Diablo, but maybe about operators and objects. Oh, I don't remember what it was. I'll come back to it later. But yeah, so essentially what we do here, the first Diablo game is a bit scary. Is it? Well, I suppose at the time that the first Diablo game came out, like, we were at a radically different era of gaming where, like, probably, people didn't have the same, like, it was probably like people could get more involved in a game that had, like, less, I don't know, what was the first, Diablo game? Like, what was it like? Let's see. I do a lot of Java and HTML. Yeah, cool. I don't know much about that at all. Cinematics is kind of scary, but I agree it's not like a horror movie. Right. You know, like, you don't judge a game by its cover. Well, you don't judge a book by its cover, and you can't judge a game by its cover. But, like, still, you kind of know that if the game has, like, a certain aesthetic to it, it's not going to be your type of game. Like, I was the type of person that, like, I didn't like shooting games because I didn't like hurting people, and so I really didn't like I was afraid of killing people in games. So like Pokemon was fine because everyone just fainted, they didn't die. Digimon was my jam. I loved Digimon. Then there was Spyro and stuff. Like Spyro was fine because all the monsters were actually just gems, so you didn't kill them and stuff. Like, I don't know, I was very PG as a kid. And so yeah, I don't know. I just never really got into the darker games and stuff like that. What programming languages are you currently working on? Are you on currently? So I use a mix of Julia, C++, Python. I used to do a lot of Fortran. I don't do that too much anymore. Basically everything you use for computational science, I'm relatively good at. The first Diablo game is darker themed, both graphically and narratively. That's probably fair. I was gonna make the argument that like back when the Diablo game came out, probably people were not like, okay, nowadays, in order to scare someone in a game nowadays, it has to be like super good graphics and like, well, maybe not, but it has to some level of like, it's got to be deeper in some ways. It's got to be like more engaging in some ways, both graphically and narratively. And older games, people were able to like, I feel like more engaged with them in a different way, you know? The first Diablo game, so yeah. But yeah, so my primary focus, so okay, for those of you guys who may not know, I'm Dr. James Schloss. I got my PhD from the Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology in 2019. Yeah, I focus on scientific computing, in particular with graphics processing units. So the reason I focus on Julia and C++ is because those are the two languages in which you can write good general purpose graphics processing unit code for doing computation at that scale. So that's my primary shtick. That's what I focus on, parallel computing and solving different physics equations and stuff like that. So yeah, Dr. Simuleos. I don't, the reason I do introduce myself as doctor, is because one, I mean, like, it was a lot of work, but two, I don't know, it's important to show that, you know, PhDs are still doing things. I mean, I admit this is an unapologetic research stream, so I get that in some sense. I'm a researcher doing researcher things, and that's exactly what a PhD does. But I don't know, I think it's important just to be like, hey, look, I mean, these guys are real people, and I should know my stuff, so you can ask me whatever you want, you know? Okay, let's move off of Diablo, and let's talk about this guy again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this. Actually, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this down. Ooh. I'm going to move it down a little bit. I hope that appeared. Nope. Journal. New page after. Did it appear? No, it didn't. Okay, let's try this again. So I'm going to move over here. And I'm going to do journal, new page after. And then that should create a new page. And then I'm going to move this over to that page. So if I do this, did it move to the next page? It did not. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it then. Move this, grab here, I believe. Should do it. Okay, great. And now I can move it down to the next page. Okay, so the reason I brought this down to the next page is because I want to talk about it a little bit. We've got a lot of like weird questions that we need to answer about how to solve this situation. So first of all, additions. Let me do this in pink, I guess. So things that we know how to do: addition, multiplication. All of these things, we're pretty confident we can do addition and multiplication okay. Sure, it'll be element-wise, it'll be point-wise, but we can do multiplications okay. The question comes in, how do we do the derivative, which I'll do in orange here. How do we do that operation? D by dx is a question, right? And there's a bunch of different ways that we could do it. But for the most part, you know, we don't really have a good, we don't really have a standard way to do it. Mika uses C++ for his game and his Twitch reward integrations. Oh, super cool. Yeah, I don't know anything. I can't do anything with Twitch rewards. Twitch recently added a Linux tag. Oh, let me go ahead and put that on my screen then. Why not? Edit screen table, type, whatever. Because I like to support Linux if I can. Linux. There we go. Cool. I'm happy to hear that. I'm really hoping that someday in the future, like, there will be a research tag. Like, there isn't currently a research tag, but I really want one in the future at some point in time. I just think, I don't know, like, I really want just to have more people doing their research online in an open way. I just want that to happen. And I really want to be a part of that push to get more people to show, like, what they do online. Because, like, for me, one of the big reasons I don't like watching educational content online is because I've probably already seen the stuff that they're teaching me, right? Like if I watch a video from Veritasium, I'm almost guaranteed to know what they're talking about because one, I have a PhD in physics, and two, I know a heck of a lot about computer science and mathematics and all this kind of stuff. So even though he can bring up a topic that I don't know about, chances are I know most of the narrative themes behind it, and it's not too difficult to go from like point A to point B and figure out where like that information came from, right? So I don't typically watch his stuff. I don't typically watch 3 Blue 1 Brown for the same reason. Like I watch the stuff because I like the person and I want to support him and I'm very interested in the content, and also I work with Grant. But like before working with Grant, I would basically, watch the video, skip through certain bits to get to the part that I didn't know and then watch that, right? And so my point here is that when it comes to educational content, I feel like one of the big drawbacks is for experts, right? Experts don't enjoy watching educational content because they already know the content, right? And so that's why like certain people, like for example, Stuff Made Here or Simone Giertz or people like this are really nice because they're doing stuff you haven't seen before. Even if it is like you can figure it out, it's stuff you haven't seen before. But this is why I think research could be such a really important thing. If you can kind of simply disseminate your research to the public, in such a way that it's easy to understand for new people, but also the fact that it's research means that it's stuff that experts haven't seen before. I think that's really cool. I think you have a way to continually pump out new stuff that even experts haven't seen before. And because it's research, you have the ability to give those experts, something to kind of satiate their desire for more knowledge, Anyway, that's the hope. The hope is that in the next few months, years, whatever, we can really start like drilling down and getting more people involved and doing research online, because I think that's going to be super cool. Anyway, I added the Linux tag for now, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay, so the question is, how do we do the derivative? There's actually a bunch of ways in which you can do the derivative. We have like central difference derivatives. You can actually do the derivative via a Fourier operator. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, right? So if you just want to write a PDE and have that PDE be solved, there's a lot of questions that we have to ask ourselves. One, how do we do a derivative? Two, what about discretization? So I guess one here. Two, what about the grid? What is the size? What are the dimensions of the things that you're holding? Three, what do you do with boundaries? Right? Things like these are questions that you still have to ask yourself. Even though we can split the PDE up into this way, it's very difficult to go from this form into something that can be immediately solved. So that's exactly what Impero is supposed to do. And the nice thing is, with additional packages like symbolic utils and stuff, we should be able to take the abstract syntax tree or the expression tree and manipulate the nodes all around so that we can do the operations in the fastest way. Because, for example, we could have a derivative that's really slow, so we don't want to like hold up the rest of the tree because we're waiting on the derivative to happen and stuff like that. Moving faster when wind Veritasium did not surprise you. Not really. I mean, so the moving faster than the wind video was interesting, but the problem was the theming of it, right? So if I had a choice between watching the Veritasium video or reading a paper on the very same thing, I would much rather prefer the paper, right? Just because the paper has more knowledge coming at me faster than the Veritasium video, which has more of a slower ride because you're kind of waiting on some people to catch up, And don't get me wrong, that video was actually pretty good, and I do like his current thrust in that he's focusing a lot more on like, current research trends and stuff like that. But I don't know, a lot of the times I've seen that research before, specifically with the mathematical stuff. I've seen a lot of this before, and so it's not super surprising, or it's stuff that I could, kind of figure out, or stuff like that. I don't know. I know I'm being a bit harsh, and know that when I'm being harsh on other educational content creators, I am in no way saying that their educational content is bad. What I'm trying to do is differentiate the type of content that I want to make, the type of content I want to see, with the type of content that's already there. Not again to say the content that's already there is bad, but to say the content that's already there doesn't fit the niche that I want to fill, if that makes sense. Again, though, I'm not saying it's bad for you liking this guy. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that for me in particular, I tend to stay away from these types of characters when I'm watching YouTube content because of the reason that it's not new enough for me, and I actually really do like reading papers and stuff like that. So I tend to I tend to spend most of my time, I don't know, I tend to spend most of my time, if I'm wanting to spend my time just wasting time, I'll watch YouTube videos, but I will not be watching educational videos. If I want to spend my time really enjoying the time that I'm spending, like just, completely relaxing and just having fun, probably I'm going to be reading a paper, because I like reading papers. It's fun, and I want more people to read papers. I don't know. Anyway, I'm being kind of a bit wishy-washy with that discussion. I don't really have a good way to like frame everything, but that's kind of how I feel about it. Okay, so if, going back to this discussion about the abstract syntax trees and stuff, if people are giving us a partial differential equation to solve, we do need some way to specify, how we do the derivatives, how we fill the grid, what the boundary conditions look like, all of this kind of stuff, which was, again, the thrust of Impero. And again, the hope was by using symbolic utils, .jl, we could then, manipulate the equations and stuff like that to do optimal solvings on parallel systems and stuff like that. Okay, so we have the ability to make simple expression trees. Totally fine. I actually very much like this capability in Julia. I think it's really cool. So let's go ahead and see what we have with Impero, because it's been a long time since I've touched this, and I am really, really missing. I don't remember anything. I mean, Impero came at a time in my life when I was just finishing up the MIT job, and I was just tired. Like, I'd been working really hard with a computational thinking course. The MIT stuff was fine, but like it wasn't going in the direction I wanted it to go in. And so like, it's a really, really cool project, probably the coolest project I did at MIT. But it was just, there were so many other balls in the air at the time, I wasn't able to focus any time on it. And so in some ways, this is my opportunity to rectify it. I'm no longer working at MIT. I can do whatever research I want to do, and I just want to kind of, tie up some loose ends that we have here with the research I did at MIT. And you might be asking, where's the new research here? The new research is twofold. So let me actually start a bit earlier with another codebase I made called GPUE. GPUE-group.github.io. Okay, so when I was doing my PhD, I basically worked on a codebase called GPUE. I think if I just go to running GPUE, it'll have all the unit tests, all this kind of stuff. And then down here, we have a super quick simulation that is maybe going a bit too fast, but of basically a superfluid simulation and a bunch of vortices appearing in the superfluid simulation. So this is a bunch of tornadoes that are appearing in the center of our superfluid system. When I started the PhD, I was obviously very focused on the computation and didn't care too much about the physics, but I thought the physics was interesting enough, and it was a sufficiently complicated numerical problem, so I was happy to tackle it. What ended up happening was I was tasked at doing, basically writing a code base to extend what we had in 2D to 3D, which doesn't sound too complicated, except that there were a lot of like weird hiccups that happened along the way dealing with the solver that we were doing. There's a lot of things happened. So what I wanted was to give everyone the ability to basically write down a single equation to have solved. That way we didn't have to think about what PDE we are solving or any of that kind of stuff. They could just say, hey, this is what I want for the potential. This is what I want for, the initial wave function. This is what I want for all this kind of stuff. And so we gave them the ability to just write out terms. They could define radius, they could define omega r, and they could just say your v is going to be equal to this, and we could read that in. This was my first attempt at writing an abstract syntax tree. So let me go here to the repo, and let's see if I can actually find it in the source code, because it was awful. Absolutely awful. I think if I go to dynamic.cu, yeah, it's about 600 lines, so it actually wasn't so bad. But you can see here that I have all these different multiplies in here. So we have subtract, we have abstract syntax tree addition, and then we have add GPU. We have AST multiply and then multiply on the GPU. We have AST divide, then divide on the GPU. Essentially, we have this ability to do the AST, the abstract syntax tree stuff, but it was just, the first attempt at anything you do is kind of garbage, right? And so the question of where's the interesting research with the abstract syntax tree development is kind of twofold. The first interesting thing is that this, this enables researchers to work without worrying about math. Well, without worrying about parallel processing. Okay, so is that in itself interesting? No, but it enables more research. It allows researchers to do more than they were doing before. But two, probably the more interesting thing for me is that this allows computer scientists, or we'll say CS researchers, to manipulate the AST and allow for optimal solutions on different architectures. Different architectures. So that's the actual interesting bit here. Let's say you have an AST on the CPU. Well, that will be solved remarkably differently than the AST you have on the GPU, right? And so if you have these different ASTs, the question is, what do you solve when? Why do you do this solution first? How do you deal with processing between elements? All of that kind of stuff. Now, I'm going to be honest in saying that this to me... Oh, one second. This to me is... It's interesting, right? Like, I'm happy that people are able to do more by just writing down an AST, but it's not something I actually care about. Two, I do actually care about a lot, but at the same time, it's just a lot of tedious work that it's not exactly the field of research that I wanted to go into. But again, it's one of those things. At MIT, it was the closest thing I could find to something that was interesting, right? And so I was happy to work on that as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into Impero and see what we have, because it's been a long time since I dealt with it, and I've got a feeling that there's going to be a lot of issues with it. So let's just mess around with it a little bit. So cd into Impero, ls here, get branch, get pole origin, actually get remote v. What do we have here? Okay, get pole upstream in master. One second. Did that work? Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's just take a look here and see what we have. I'm going to just run Julia -- project. Okay, so this should have loaded Impero. So using Impero. Right. Perfect. All right, let's just go from there. Package symbolic utils does not have docstring extensions in its dependencies. If you have symbolic utils checked out for development, so I think we just need to do resolve. Can you put a link to it in the chat? I sure can. Instantiate. One second. Impero, and let's do edit on GitHub. Oh, come on. There we go. Paste that over there. I meant to post this link. I'm sorry, that was the wrong link. That should be it. Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know how the Juliet package system works, essentially it has like an inbuilt package manager and all of that kind of stuff. So you noticed that I did actually just download and install the package for symbolic utils, but now I kind of have to do it again. And the reason for that is that when I ran Julia -- project, it kind of instantiated its own container, you could say, specifically for this project, and this project being Impero. And so because of that, I have to kind of make sure we have all the appropriate packages installed for Impero itself. And that's what we're doing right now. So give me a second to get a little bit of water. And then we're just going to mess around with it and see what we can do. Again, it's been a while since I looked at this. My goal is by the end of the week to be able to plug and play the Schrodinger equation into this this system. And in particular, I want to do like a growth PDF ski solve. So if you saw the stuff for the superfluid simulations before with all the vortices in there, I want to do that. So this means probably adding architecture specifically for imaginary time propagation and all this kind of stuff. But, we'll get there one step at a time. Okay, so we should be able to be using Impero now. Give it a second. And again, for those of you guys who don't know Julia, usually Julia compile times, like the way it works is you'll run the program once. There will be a bit of a long compile time, but then subsequent runs will be relatively fast. Okay, so this is where I remember nothing. So I'm going to go over here to this directory, cd projects, Impero. ls here. I guess we have tests, right? So maybe I just go over here and run test Impero and just see what's happening. Oh man. Could not use exact versions of packages in the manifest. Re-resolving. Okay, cool. Give it a second to do its thing. Also, guys, I hope you're all having a wonderful day, night, afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it happens to be your time. And you know, like, I hope you're having fun. It's 11:45 in the morning my time, which means it might be actually getting a little bit late in the US. I'm not really sure. I don't really know how long I'm going to be streaming today. Again, I did start a little bit late. I've been streaming for about an hour so far. But I am going to be trying to do longer streams, which means because I haven't been streaming very often recently, I need to get my stream stamina up. So I'm hoping to do maybe 3 hours today. I did 2 hours for the past 2 days, and slowly I just want to start building up the amount of time I spend doing streaming every day. So, Anonymous Cheerer, thank you so much for the bit. I really appreciate it. Oh no. Equation test.jl doesn't exist. Okay. Let me do... Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to Control D from here, go over here, run Julia -- project, and let's just fix the tests. So, get status really quick. I think... No, the only thing that was added was notes. So let's go over here and let's just run test Impero again. And let's see what we got. And hopefully we can fix the tests. No such file. Right, obviously there's no such file, so let's go into VI test. What do we have here? Test utils? No, probably run tests. And it's saying nothing for equation test.jl. Okay. That's because equation test... What? What? Equation test is right there. So, home layouts projects Impero test. Oh, it's opening test twice. Why is it opening test twice? Probably because I need to remove this guy. Let's try that. Okay. I'm going to do Control D Julia, and now I'm going to do using revise. And then we're going to do using Impero. And using revise basically means... Okay, try it one more time. Add revise. Using revise means that if we update the package, we don't have to like re-include everything. Like we don't have to recompile. It will do all the kind of recompiling in the background. So revise is a super useful project to have with Julia. So the other thing to note is that I kind of have this weird setup right now where we have all the Julia stuff over here, and then like probably the code I'll be typing over here. I usually like to have these two terminals be the same size, but with my new setup, I wasn't able to do that. I mean, my screen resolution is like 1600 by 900 or something like that. It's actually lower than it was before. But the reason I have it is because now I can basically put everything into a carry-on case, which you guys may or may not have seen in one of my recent YouTube videos. So, speaking of YouTube videos, I am going to how do I put this? I am going to be making a new video soon, probably this week, on kind of an update to the counting algorithm video that I had before. There were just a lot of people who were just really unhappy with that video. There were a lot of people who were very happy about it, but a lot of people were unhappy, and I thought it was important just to take some time and talk to those people who did not like the video and explain, hey, I still think it's a fair video for these reasons. I do realize that it's important not to address trolls, but I really don't feel like the people in the comment section were trolls. I think that they were asking really important questions. And I think it's important to answer those questions. So that's kind of where we're at there. Cool. Okay. We're just going to keep going. Again, we're pre-compiling Impero right now. And then hopefully when it runs, we'll be able to just kind of mess around with some of the tests and stuff. So again, for the next probably maybe even full hour, I'm just going to be poking around this code and seeing what I can and can't do. Hello, Define Evil. How are you? I hope you're having a wonderful day, or I guess evening, your time. Impero is taking its time to precompile, though, and I guess that's fine, you know. But yeah, Yeah, I do wish that I could still do the, I'm just going to include, I think, tests, run test.jl and see what that does. Okay, right. So now, what if I do test impero? I think there's something fundamentally wrong with the testing infrastructure here. So let's kind of take a look at that in just a second. But yeah, I do really wish that I could, take 5 minutes off every hour and do the workout again, because that was actually super useful for like just keeping me motivated and keeping stream on track and stuff like that. But I really can't do that with my current setup because I'm like on the floor and we're moving in like 3 weeks, and it's just there's just not enough room. So hopefully when I get to Barcelona, we're hoping to get probably a 2-bedroom apartment. So I can use one of the bedrooms as a as an actual office / studio type of thing, which I think is, I don't know, I think is really important for me to have. Okay, so we're running the tests now. This does say that the testing infrastructure is probably probably needs to be updated a bit. Add test. So yeah, I might just go ahead and put up a PR that fixes the testing files and stuff like that. I don't think there will be too many issues with that. Okay, so now if we do test impero, hopefully we'll get some of the tests building. Oh, it's still, like, it just takes time. This type of stuff takes a lot of time. But that's how development is. Okay, so we're running the tests now. Good, okay, so it looks like some of the tests seem to work okay. Good, okay, so it looks like all the tests passed. So let's go over here, and let's just open up test run tests. I'm gonna modify this a bit. Let me see what happens if I just do the following. Does this still run? So let's do include test run test. Okay, so that runs the first one. And then if we run test impero, does it run the other one? I like the approximate counting video. Honestly, a lot of the people who watch the Twitch stream and who are actively engaged in Discord, these people were actually really excited. They really did like the video. But then there were just a lot of people who didn't. And it's not to address the people who like the video. It's to address the people who are like, well, that's not counting for these reasons. In which I do feel like it's kind of my fault that the video was like, if people didn't understand the counting algorithm, that was my fault, not their fault, right? It's never the fault of the student that they didn't understand, nor is it always the fault of the teacher. Sometimes it's just very difficult to fully explain anything or explain something in a way that other people understand. That's neither the teacher's fault nor the student's fault. It's just sometimes, the way in which a teacher is able to teach is not the way a student is able to learn. Let's see. Yeah, I studied similar random walk stuff, so probably biased. Right. That's the thing too. Like, I mean, the hope with that video was that I could kind of focus more on like something people hadn't seen before. And I knew people hadn't seen the approximate counting algorithm before. And so a lot of people were really excited because they hadn't seen it. They hadn't even seen it on Twitch before. It was something that like I just didn't stream and I didn't talk about very much. So that's why a lot of people were really excited for it. But I don't know. I think the YouTube audience, a lot of them got really angry because I themed it after counting on your fingers, and they're like, well, you couldn't do this on your fingers. I was like, okay. And then they started getting really pedantic about counting. It's like, what does counting mean? And I'm like, wait. So my general philosophy is if people are debating you, and if people are being really pedantic about their debate, like they're like pulling up definitions and they're trying to prove you wrong instead of trying to prove you right, first of all, you can't win that argument because they have some sort of like steadfast, some sort of hard belief in their head about some topic, right? And so because they're trying to prove you wrong, they're doing everything they can to prove you wrong. There isn't much you can do to prove yourself right, because there isn't going to be much that you can do to convince them otherwise. But on the other hand, I really do feel for videos like this and for topics like this, you shouldn't be trying to prove the person wrong. You should be listening and trying to prove them right. If someone shows you something that you're like, I don't really like this, it's like, well, maybe give them the benefit of the doubt and try to understand what they were trying to say. The advice I got about being a content creator that really sticks, I think is really relevant here is ... nothing. Okay, so let's go into some of the tests here. So the tests that we're running are equation test, symbolic utils test. Okay, let me just include the tests over here as well. and this should run all of them. Okay, it does run all of them. I'm going to ask about why we had the PWD thing in there to begin with. I don't really remember why. Yeah, I don't remember why at all. Okay, that looks like it broke. Yeah, that definitely looks like it broke, doesn't it? Yeah. That definitely looks like it broke. Sometimes you'll make an adjustment to please people and find that people are still not happy. But what's super important to know is that they're different people, right? So when it comes to education, when it comes to teaching anyone anything, when it comes to like making content for people, like you just got to do your best. I mean, like there's always going to be a few people that don't learn the way you learn, right? And this is what I talk to Grant about a lot. So Grant makes these, 3 Blue and Brown will make these videos that are like, somewhat longer form, 20-minute-esque videos, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, about particular topics. And, my argument is always that I don't have the attention span to follow a video of that length. I just hit the microphone, sorry about that. And for me, it's actually better if I have a choice between watching a 20-minute video or spending 2 hours on a research paper. I will always spend the 2 hours on the research paper because it's just that much more enjoyable for me to read at a pace that works for me, and not move at the pace of someone, in a video, which is, again, why all my videos are usually short, snappy, and to the point, as a way to kind of encourage people to learn the topic, not as a way to teach the topic, right? And so there are a few times on my YouTube channel that, I've run into issues where people, want me to talk about certain things more, but I really do feel if we went into more depth, that would be more of a lecture as opposed to a YouTube video, And so I do have this distinction, but my point is everyone learns differently. For me, this kind of short popcorn style-esque learning is exactly what I need and exactly what I want. I want people to be excited and get me excited about a topic so I can look it up afterwards. Even better is if they give me something to learn afterwards. But I don't learn very well from documentaries. And this goes back to the discussion we had earlier with Veritasium and stuff like that. This is also a problem I have with a lot of educational content nowadays, where I do really feel the best educational content is a video that is under a minute. I feel like those videos are the best. But then you have content creators like Minute Earth and Minute Physics who, because they're under a minute, they don't talk about the super complicated stuff. They just give surface level discussions. I'm like, no. Give the detailed stuff. Give the complicated stuff. Really show people the jargon. Show people why it's interesting in that minute. Do all you can to describe your topic in as short a time as possible. But don't pull any punches. Do everything you can to give people the deepest thing you can in a minute. Because you'll be surprised at what people actually pick up. Even if they don't understand all of the jargon, they'll understand the nuances to the argument more if you do give them the jargon-filled discussion, I think. Anyway, this is kind of part of the bet that I'm making as to see whether it's actually a good idea to do research in an open way. And I'm literally I'm putting everything behind it. I think that if we do research in an open way, in an engaging way, I think that's going to be a new paradigm for research in academia. That's what I'm shooting for. Is that actually true? Probably not, but that's what I'm shooting for, My microphone is just throughout the stream, it has been slowly tilting this way. So now I have to kind of turn this way for the microphone to, give me just a second, guys. Sorry about that. I need to, 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that helped in any way, shape, or form. But it's okay. We're here now, and that's all that matters. Okay. Right. I prefer to learn by reading, but watching YouTube mostly for entertainment. Right. I think that's true as well. I think I'm actually the same way, where I really do prefer to learn by reading. That's why I really like YouTube videos and stuff like that. That's why the algorithm archive exists. The hope is that we can provide a useful learning resource for everyone. I also really love reading papers. I think it's super fun. So I want the point of the YouTube videos going forward to be kind of not vlog style, but again, I want them to be entertaining. I want them to be fun more than educational, right? I want them to be here's an interesting topic that you probably haven't heard about before. Let's talk about it. As opposed to, you need to learn this thing, you know, which my goal was never to be, you need to learn this thing. My goal was never to be, you know, like even the video for determinants, for example. Yeah, sure, I know people need to know determinants, but my point with that video wasn't to teach people determinants. My point with that video was to explain determinants in a way that people hadn't seen before, right? And be like, this is actually super cool, and I hope it's cool to you guys as well, you know? And that was why my early videos, I always ended with, you know, I think it's really cool, and I hope you do too. But anyway, let's just keep going. So we're going to include one specific test, and that's going to be the domain test. Here. Okay. Then which test was doing this error before? It looks like it was a domain test. So what is all this gobbledygook? Maybe it's fine? Okay. Let's just take a look at the tests one by one. So we're going to start with the equation test. Let's go to VI tests, and then equation test.jl. Okay. So this is where my friend and I have a disagreement, in that he likes Unicode, and I don't like Unicode, but it's fine. It's okay. People can use Unicode if they want. Okay. So this is how we have it currently set up. So we have the dy, dx, and dz as operator derivative metadata on x, y, z, and t. We then have impero equation specification for the test set here. So we have the equation, which is going to be 2 equation, sigma is equal to u. And then we have test, equation right-hand side is equal to u, equation left-hand side is equal to sigma. So the idea here is we're just trying to make sure that the @ equation syntax works. So let's go ahead and mess around here by doing that over here. So equation, I'm just going to call it EQ. It's going to be equal to @2 equation. And we're just going to say sigma, just following the notation here, equals u. And now if I do EQ dot, we have left-hand side, which will be, should be sigma, and then right-hand side. This is probably quite hard to see, but let's see, how do I actually want to show this on screen? Maybe I could split the terminal up. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's okay. So the point is, this allows for us to identify the left and right-hand side. So here we have the PDE system, and we say it's sigma is equal to dx of u and dt of u, and then we test that the PDE system, left-hand side, we basically test that all the elements are what they are expected to be. Now we have the equation modification, where we have the PDE system here, and then we say the right-hand side, plus equals negative dx. Okay, so that's what I need to ask. So what we're doing here is I think we're adding a minus dx to that equation. So let's see what we can do here. So we're going to do equation on the right-hand side plus equals, and let's just do x. X not defined. X is not defined because, I guess I just didn't define x. Okay. Plus equals, wait, how does this work? So we have d by dx. Oh, because okay, because that's already defined. Okay, I understand now. Okay, so here we're going to define, we want to define x as a variable, and I'm not exactly sure how to do that. So, I think I have @var? No, what do I have? Let's go here. Quit. Okay, what other tests do we have here? CD tests, ls here. So how do I define just like a single item, right? So let's go into VI symbolic utils tests. Wrapper, is that what it is? @wrapper x equals 1. So now if I go over here, do plus equals x. Okay, right. So now I can just keep adding x. Perfect. Wonderful. Okay. So now my right-hand side is ux plus x plus x plus x plus x plus x plus x. Lots of plus x's. And this brings us to the first question that I have here. Let me go back over here. Essentially what I have on the right-hand side is u plus x plus x plus x plus x, you know, kind of ... But, you know, this looks like u plus x plus x plus x plus x, right? As it goes higher and higher up. But in principle, what I could do is I could do u plus, and then I could do a sum of a bunch of different x's, right? And, you know, this would require a new operation, which would essentially be a n array operator. Now, I think, if I remember correctly, before leaving, I was spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to get the n array operator to work, but I don't think I ever did it. Because, again, I was super just busy with different things, so I don't think I ever actually got it done. So, that's one thing to kind of look into. Sorry for the yawn. So, n array operators is definitely something that we want to look into. Okay, so, the way this is done is symbolic util swapping begin. So I need to figure out what this test is actually doing over here. And that I just don't remember at all. So print line for A. Maybe we just run the test really quick. Yeah, let's just run the test and see what we can do. So I'm going to do include. And let's do symbolic, test, test, symbolic utils, test.jl. Okay, obviously everything passed, and what we did is changed a plus b to a times b, and then we also said we're changing the sign of a plus b times sign of a plus b to sign of a plus b times sign of a times b times b. Okay, so how does this work? Let me just go in here and say for a is equal to a.data, and for b is equal to b.data. Then we say changing a plus b to a times b. So if c is equal to a plus b, we have check c, which is a times b. So we have R1 is going to be an AC rule. All right, let's look up symbolic utils, shall we? Because I'm a bit lost. Term rewriting. So we were using an AC rule. Now, I don't remember what AC rule stands for. But I do remember when I talked to the person who wrote this software for the first time, they were saying AC rule stands for a particular, I don't remember what AC stands for, but it's like something commutative, additive commutative, I don't remember. So here's a simple rewrite. Okay, what I don't remember, here's the things that I don't remember. I don't remember what the tilde stands for. Yeah, I don't remember what the tilde stands for. Have we defined what RA and RB are? Yeah, what are RA and RB here? So, I guess they're just arbitrary objects, right? A and B goes into A and B. Maybe we just mess around with this a little bit on our own. So we're going to do using symbolic utils over here. Where are we? Here we are. Using symbolic utils. Okay. And let's just kind of do the same thing. Maybe what I should do is, like, I should create a command on my desktop that makes this a bit easier, but I'm actually going to make this huge, move this over here, and then make this normal sized. If that was unreadable, I want default, and I'm going to move that over here. That way the Julie terminal is the big thing, and you guys can see what's happening. Okay, move this down a bit. Okay, so we have using symbolic utils. I think I'll do this for a bit, so I'm going to be kind of looking at the tests and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm going to say at wrapper, which is kind of wrapper, which is a way for us to kind of encapsulate a node object on an expression tree. So we're going to say A is equal to 1, and then B is equal to 1. Okay, 2, 1, A, B. Okay, let's see what happens if I don't have spaces there. A, B. I don't know what the equal 1 does here. So we're going to have to look at the wrapper syntax and figure that out. Why do we have an equals 1? I should just be able to do at wrapper A, B. No. Okay, let's take a look and see what we can find. So let's go to VI. I think we have to go back. No, maybe we're in the right directory. Source. And let's see. What do we have? Abstract fields, abstract core, probably. And let's look for wrapper. Okay. Let me do a quick grep dash RL wrapper and see where it is. So it's going to be test, source, abstract utils, abstract data. So it's going to vi test, abstract, where is it? Oh, sorry, source, abstract, utils. And then hopefully we have the wrapper in here. So export wrapper. Hey, Givus, how are you? So we have wrapper here, which is of type abstract expression. Let me get a little bit of energy drink here. I'm sorry. Okay. Right, so what exactly is the wrapper here? So we have this toExpression macro as well. I'm doing all right. How are you? I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. We're just trying to parse. So for those of you guys who may have just come in, we're trying to figure out how to. I'm basically looking at some old code that I wrote in Klima at MIT and trying to figure out how to parse the expression tree syntax to basically extend it to other solvers and stuff like that. Except for that, the entire dishwasher broke, so we are without a dishwasher for a week. I'm sorry to hear that. If I'm honest, I haven't used a dishwasher in a long time. I usually just wash my own dishes. Even when I had a dishwasher in Boston, I didn't really use it too much. My roommate did, but I just kind of found that it's just kind of easier just to wash your dishes anyway and just put them on the side. But it really, I guess it depends on workflow and stuff like that. 1 second. Okay, good. Sorry, I just got a weird notification that I had to check out on my side screen. Okay, so we have struct wrapper, and it takes data and then metadata. Okay, so when we initialize at wrapper, so we have macro wrapper, and it says written expression, and we return rewritten expression. See, this is, I'm gonna be honest here. One of my big problems with Julia syntax is that it is sometimes impossible to understand, and this is one of those things that I find rather impossible to understand. Also, every time. So the person I developed with uses a bunch of weird Unicode symbols that I just don't have support for on my terminal. So whenever I was coding with him, I had to like change terminals and text editors and stuff like that. It's fine. But it was always somewhat frustrating. Okay. Like this, for example. What is this? Is that supposed to be like that? I don't know. And here we have operation metadata again. Oh, man. Every time. Okay. So let's see. What do we have here? So what I'm basically trying to figure out is what... Okay. So I guess every time we have a wrapper defined, it has to have some sort of data. That's my guess. So let me just define wrapper of A is going to be equal to A. Does that work? And wrapper of B is going to be equal to B. I mean, that seems to be fine. So I guess it just has to have some data inside of it. And I guess my question is, can we rewrite that data later? I'm not entirely sure, but I guess we can figure that out as we go along. So we have these wrappers, which again are going to be like symbolic nodes or whatever. And now we're going to do an AC rule. So we're going to create a rule, which is going to be rule 1 is going to be equal to add AC rule. And this is going to be, again, this is what I don't fully understand, RA plus RB. I think these are just random variables, so I think we'll just say I think it's RA plus RB. I think we can call them anything, so maybe we just check. Is going to be moved to RA times check. This is just making sure that I can just rewrite the variable. And this is where things get annoying. So now we're going to do new C. Ooh, that is some rough syntax, isn't it? It's going to be equal to fixed point. Post walk. Oh, a chain. Oh no. Of R1. Okay. There. And then we go to some sort of command here, which is just gonna be A plus B. Oh, my word, that was tough. Okay, so fixed point. what does that mean? What do fixed point and post walk mean here? And then also, so it did change. So basically what we just did is we changed our command that was a plus b into a times b. So we were able to modify our syntax tree, but man, oh man, I didn't remember any of the syntax. I don't mean for this to sound weird, but your rant the other day actually introduced me to Reducible. I watched the video of theirs and enjoyed it. Yeah, Reducible is fine. Their content's pretty good. It's just that I think my point with the discussion yesterday is that I don't want to bring it too much into fold here, but for the record, the other day I had a discussion on stream about kind of the role of Laos OS, Laos Labs in the current era of, mathematical content creation or educational content creation online. And how, way back in the day, I started my channel, and then 3 Blue 1 Brown kind of came up, and everyone loved 3 Blue 1 Brown's channel and the type of content that they make. And that was fine, but, my content was starkly different, and my content's always been starkly different. But it's kind of become clear now that that style of making a video, the style that 3 Blue 1 Brown knows and does very well, is apparently like the way that people want to consume math content online nowadays. And my content will never be that, because it's not that I don't appreciate that form, it's just that it's not the way in which I tell stories, and it's not the way I understand stories either. So going back to the discussion we had earlier with Mika and other people, it's one of those things where I think that they can take over. Reducible in particular can take over, teaching algorithms to people if that's what they want to do. Totally fine. I think they're going to do a wonderful job at it. But I think what I need to do is focus on things that I can do that other people can't. And that's going to be primarily focusing on research and focusing on things that other people definitely haven't seen before. And that's what I'm going to do. So in the future, the videos are going to be slightly different style than what I'm used to making, but I think that's important. I think it's important to just kind of change with the, as new people come in and they kind of take over your old role. I think that's fine. I mean, clearly he's more successful than I was at these types of videos. I mean, it is abundantly clear that people prefer that type of video to the type of videos that I make. I mean, obviously, people in this community are biased, but I mean, you can just look at the viewing count. I mean, I did a video on Huffman encoding, and honestly, Huffman encoding is is probably my favorite algorithm we've ever done. I spent months, definitely months, probably 3 months working on that video, doing basically nothing but Huffman encoding in my spare time. We did. Not only Huffman encoding, but we did, the Vitter algorithm, which is an extension of Huffman encoding. We did so much for that video. And finally, when it came out, it got like 5,000 views. And then he makes a video, obviously not spending as much time on it, because the script is nowhere near as tight, and he gets way more views, And so it's like, look, clearly that style of content is preferred. And so that's just how it is, I'm not going to sit here and say that, it is what it is. So it's like, there's people don't care about. I know I'm ranting and I shouldn't rant, but for me, a high quality video is no more than 5 minutes. Any video that is over 5 minutes can reduce their script to be under 5 minutes on YouTube. And the longer the video is, the lower quality it is. I don't care what it is. Even if it's Mythbusters or whatever, I can guarantee you Mythbusters would have been way better if it was just 2 minutes, at least for me, And so it's kind of like, I don't know. I get it to some extent, but I don't get it. And so I might as well just focus on things that I get as opposed to things that I don't fully understand, And the thing I don't fully understand is how or why people watch or make those types of videos. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, that's the end of that rant. Let's keep going for AC rules and stuff like that, which I don't understand this either, but it's something at least I can understand, right? Okay, so I should also be able to run compute onto new C. So compute new C should give me 1, because it should do 1 times 1. Fortunately, YouTube's algorithm values mainly watch time to keep users on the site and seeing ads. Right. Although I do think the actual, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, clearly, it makes more sense for YouTube to, prioritize like the number of clicks as opposed to watch time, because, and people are definitely seeing this nowadays. that, you've got, channels out there like Ryan George and people who are now making shorter videos because, if you see a short video, you're more likely to click on the next video, right? And so, like, the argument that, YouTube focuses on watch time is a fair argument to be had. But also, I think there's a bit more to it than that, right? The idea is if you can make shorter videos, those videos will be higher quality and more people will click on those videos. So in essence, you'll have a better watch time, right? Because, again, more people have seen the videos. So, like, 2 people watching a 5-minute video is going to be better than 1 person watching a 10-minute video. And the reason for that is if the 5-minute video is more engaging, people will watch more of the 5-minute video than the 1 person watching the 10-minute video. So the person watching the 10-minute video will probably click off 70% of the way through, getting 7 minutes, right? But the 2 people watching the 5-minute video will probably watch 90% of those 5 minutes. And so they'll just be there for longer, right? But that relies on the fact that shorter videos should be able to attract more people. But nowadays, people are conditioned, I don't know. I just don't like longer videos. I find them really stupid. What is going on? Oh, I see what happened. I hit the microphone. This setup's weird. YouTube total time, not percentage of the video length. Right. Okay, so let me make this argument again. So I'm saying that this is what I'm saying. I'm saying 2 views on a 5-minute video is better than 1 view on a 10-minute video. Because 1 view on a 10-minute video will mean approximately 7 minutes of watch time, which is the total time that this person watched, right? Meanwhile, the 2 views on 5 minutes will approximately be 8 minutes of watch time, which again is the total time that these 2 people watched together. And so what ends up happening is YouTube will look at this video and will say that your watch time percentage is higher and will therefore give it to more people. YouTube actually does care about watch time percentage. It's one of the key metrics that you see as a video content creator. The number one thing you see is what is the highest or what percentage of people are watching for this video, right? Like that's, and they actively tell you, it's like the watch time percent is what's useful for knowing whether people enjoyed or didn't enjoy the video. That's the primary statistic that they care about. Like it's all over your dashboard and stuff like that. They make it very clear that this is what they're actually focusing on. But YouTube itself, you're right, only cares about the number. They only care about 8. They only care about 7. But in order to give it to more people, it is watch time percentage. That's what they care about. But it doesn't matter because watch time percentage is the same as the total time that they're on the platform, right? What I'm trying to say is the same thing. All right, let me get another sip of water here. I think. Okay. So, let's see. There's a bunch of weird things that I don't like about this. One is this whole fixed point post walk thing, but that's kind of part of symbolic utils. There isn't really much I can do about that. I think the rest of it's kind of fine. We have the symbolic notation. Everything's kind of okay. The reason we have this fixed point post walk chain thing is that we essentially have a bunch of operations that are all put together into some abstract syntax tree, and we want to go through each node on that tree, each internal node, and potentially fix them. There's going to be a bunch of tree rewriting and stuff like that we also have to do here. So let me see what we can do we've got term rewriting, we have interfacing. Let's just go to interfacing. Defining an interface, code generation, API documentation. This might be a bit trickier than I'd hoped for. Yeah, okay, so I'm actually not fully convinced I understand what's happening here. So we also have the simplify command, which is quite useful. So in principle, what I'm looking for here is to mess around with the simplify command for large trees or where operations are, or it's unclear, which operations should go where in the tree. Okay, so I think this is fine. Let me take a look at some other tests and just play around with them really quick. ls here. So we have 2 expression tests, we have test utils. Maybe I just cat star. That was a dumb idea. That's okay. I shouldn't have done that. I just have a bunch of code now, and I have no idea what's what. So let's take a look at the domain tests over here. So I'm just going to go into vi test, then domain test.jl. Okay. So we've got omega is going to be equal to some circle domain. So this is going to be a periodic domain on one dimension, and then it's going to be interval domain, which means it's going to have like bounds from -1 to 1. And then let's see, we're going to do a derivative on omega, derivative on t1, and then we do info on omega. Let's just mess around with this and see what that does. So again, I'm just going to go over here, vi into domain test.jl, and let's see what we got. So in here, I'm just going to define omega and just see what this gives me. Again, I really should know this, but I don't, because it's been a long time. It's been months since I've looked at this, and I just kind of forgot everything. So what are we doing here? We say this is a circle, so it's periodic along one dimension, and it's an interval along the other dimension. So it says it goes from 0 to 2 pi, and then -1 to 1. So again, 0 to 2 pi, and then what we did is we multiplied it by another interval, and this gave it another dimension. So in principle, what we could do is we could say t1 times periodic along another dimension. In principle, so we'll do circle from 0 to 2 pi. And that should give us a 4-dimensional object. Yeah. That looks like it's 3-dimensional to me. Right, because it should be t1, and then I'm going to do times equals. Okay, and I can make it as many dimensions as I want, and then I can run info on t1, and this gives us... Okay, the dimension 1 domain is periodic with length of roughly 2 pi. Dimension 2, so it goes all the way up to 27 dimensions. And it says we have a bunch of... Okay, this is fair. We have a 27-dimensional object. Right, so there should be, I think, if I remember correctly as well, ways to plot this, but I don't exactly remember how. Ls here. CD test again. Ls here. Preliminary tests? Let's see, what do we have here? Imperial operator matching for unary operator, for binary operator, for n-ary operator. Did I have n-ary operator? I don't know if I had n-ary operators or not. I don't think I put that in there. Okay, guys, I'm going to be right back. Give me just a second. Sorry about that, but I'll be right back. All right, 1 second, guys. Okay, guys, give me just 1 second. Sorry about that. I think what we're going to do is actually hop on to do some algorithm archive work. And the reason I want to do that is because, again, I want to make sure I get through at least one PR a day. So I figured let's take a look at some algorithm archive stuff. I'm trying to remember where we put the actual PDE solving in this package. I think, if I remember correctly, we had Impero, and then we had Impero hooks on top of Impero. So the way Impero worked is that... 1 second. I just hit the microphone. So the way Impero worked is that it was purely a symbolic package, and then we hooked it into whatever solver we needed. And so in particular, Impero hooked it into Klima, but I might want to hook it into another solver, for example. So that might be something that we look into in just a second, but let me go over here and let's go to github.com, and let's just go to the algorithm archive and mess around there, hopefully getting a PR in. So let's do pull requests. Let's see, Huffman encoding a racket. Convolutions of images in 2D Python implementation. This one might be done. Actually, it doesn't look like it's done at all. Let's see. Let's see what this one is. Okay. Alright, thanks for PR. I left a few comments you may or may not take into account. And that's fine. Overall, it seems like a faithful port of the Julia code, so no major problem here. I still hate the 4 live indices in the convolution, but it's not your fault, so the comment about the 4 loops is not that relevant. However, there is a blocking point, which is that y not equal to np.linearalgebra.norm won't run because of a type error. You need to correct that before we merge it into the algorithm archive. But I think you have not run your code, which is why this bug is there, and it slipped under your radar. Once again, thanks for the interest in the algorithm archive. Let's see. So I hate the fact that there are 4 indices and ranges and maximums, but I don't think there's any other way to do that and not be confusing. Yeah. Yeah, also, so with the convolution code, that's definitely true. Like, it's got like 4 indices in there. It really sucks. Please put your parentheses... Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and... Yeah, I'm just going to run this locally and see if it works. Because Amara says it's basically fine. So he says, I updated the if conditions to use suppress. Thanks for that suggestion. Code looks much cleaner. I also updated the statements to not use backslashes and use the from function for the cases where the Gaussian kernels needs to be created. I ran the code and tested it by using a common input and checking the output of the Julia code and my code. The line y equals y over linear works. Wait, that line works? I'm unsure why that is the case. If it raises an error on your end, please let me know what I can do. So let me just see what I can do on my end as well. So let me pull it down and just see if there's an issue with it. So we're going to go ahead and view command line instructions here. I'm going to cd into the algorithm archive and just mess around. I'm going to open up a new terminal here. Open up another new terminal here. Make that one huge. Move that over there, there, and there. Okay, let's go over here. How are you, Glowfly? I hope you're having a wonderful day. CD into project algorithm archive. Misspelled archive. That's fine. CD into projects algorithm archive. Okay. What? Okay. I don't know what's going on, but I'm having trouble today. Okay, so now we're going to move this down here. And I think what I'm going to do is just copy and clone what we have here. So that... Git branch? I forgot what branch I'm on. Okay, so let's do git checkout master. All right. And now we're going to do git branch -d to delete one of the branches that we have that we don't need. Storm office, this guy. Perfect. Okay, so we should be on master. Let's go ahead and pull the latest changes from master. So git pull upstream master. Oops. Okay, how did that not work? Okay, there we go. And now we're going to go ahead and pull the branch up that we need. So let's grab this guy. Okay, control. Okay, 1 second. Move over here. Copy these lines again. And then paste them over here. There. Okay. This should give us the branch that we need. Sure, okay. Yep, 1 second. Okay. So let's go ahead and move into the Python code. CD projects. Contents, convolutions, lscd code, Python, ls here, and we have 2D convolution.py, so let's run Python 2D convolution.py. Okay, let's go into vi 2D convolution.py and see what we got here. I mean, it seems to run, but is there actually a test in here? So we have def main. Oh, right, so it saves stuff out. So let's do ls here. What? Was that just not run? I guess it wasn't run. O main. Okay, so let's try it one more time. And this should run everything, and we should get something out. Let me do an ls on the Julia code. ls here. So we have a bunch of kernels and 2D convolution.py, ls here. Did I do ls correctly? So we have 1D convolution, 2D convolution, and convolutional theorem. So I think this guy only added 2D convolution.py. Okay, that's totally fine. So that's not a problem at all. I think because I have split it up into 1D and 2D convolutions, I think that's actually fine. So let's just see what we have here, and let's just make sure it follows what we need. ls. So I think what I can do... Oh, I need to think. Wait, how did I do this? I think if I just run GNU plot... Did I write it down in the chapter? GNU plot, and now we're just going to do set view map. View map. Okay. And now we're going to do splot. And we want to splot anything, large kernel .dat. Okay, let's just take a look at it. Vi large kernel .dat. That's not going to help me at all. How did we do this? Let me go into algorithm archive here, and let's see what we got. So we're going to do convolutions, which is in here somewhere. Convolutions of images 2D, and I think this is the right code. Yeah, that's the right images. Right, okay. So how did I tell people how to plot this, or did I not? Two-dimensional variant for blurring images. Okay, maybe I didn't. Let's just go back to the plotting chapter. And let me just go down to the bottom here and see what I was doing. Because I know I forgot something, but I don't remember what I forgot. It should be almost there. There, okay. Oh no, I missed it. Oh, crap, I pressed the wrong button. All right, try it again. Come on. Okay, one more try. Scroll down a little bit. There we go. Okay. That, for some reason, I'm just not able to scroll right now. That's fine. Okay, perfect. It is... Oh, matrix with image. Oh, I'm just dumb. Set view map, then matrix with image. This should be... Okay, so here we have one guy. Seems fine with large kernel, so let's do also small kernel. And that should be, yep, a better circle. What else do we have here? Let's do ls. What is it? Isn't it this? ls? What is it then? How do we go into... Oh, it's this one. Okay, so we have full linear, simple linear, and Sobel output. So let's do all those. So full linear. .dat. Is that what it's supposed to look like? I don't remember. Then we have simple linear. And then we have Sobel output. .dat. Okay, let me see what the Julia code does here, because I don't remember what this is supposed to be doing. And these outputs look kind of funky to me. Oh wait. This is a Sobel operator for a simple circle, right? Okay, I think I'm remembering now. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. Control D, and we're gonna CD project algorithm archive contents convolutions code, and then Julia over here ls, and let's go into Julia 2D convolution.jl. This should give us a bunch of files. vi 2D convolution.jl. Move down here. run the main function, right and quit. Now we're going to run Julia again, and this should give us the same files that we had over there, and we just plot them. Okay, let's see what we got here. So we're going to do GNU plot. Sure. Now let's just plot a bunch of different things. So Sobel output.dat. Yeah, why is his so much smaller than mine? Set view map. Okay, seems fine. Then what are the other ones? Large kernel, .dat, matrix with image. What was the other one that we had trouble with? It was simple linear. Well, let's just go up a bit. Simple linear.dat. Okay. And then the other one was simple linear, and then we had full linear. This isn't it. Let's just do splot. Full linear .dat matrix with image. Misspelled image. Yeah, okay, this is what I expected. Okay, so apparently Control R. No, I don't think it works. Oh, I guess I can, but I also don't ever use it. Okay, so let me take a look at the Julia code here, because there's something weird going on here with it, like the size of his. Let me just take a look at the. Well, I guess this is what I'm looking for. Okay, so if we have 4i in range. Right. Okay, so is his main function just smaller than mine for some reason? All right, let's take a look at the Julia code. So we're going to go to convolutions here, and let's take a look at the Julia code, because I think that's the only code that we have available right now. And let's just bop down here. 1 second. Bop down here. Okay. Try it one more time. Come on. Okay, never mind. I just can't grab that bar for some reason. That's totally fine. Okay. So we have convolve linear, and the issue was convolving linear. Yeah, so the issue was with this kernel here. And so let's go down to the convolve linear function. Simple linear output, convolve linear x, y, and then we size of x and size of x plus size of y. Okay, I was looking at, yeah, your Euclidean algorithm, and the Kotlin does not have a full example code. We should, yeah, I think we should have full, yeah, no, I knew what you meant. But yeah, so we should have full code. I don't know if the Kotlin, oh, the Kotlin, oh, Kotlin's a language, right. Sorry about that. Thanks for bringing that up. Let me take a look. Euclidean algorithm down here. And you said the Kotlin code is not full. Where are we? Kotlin. Where are you? Kotlin. Euclidean subtraction, Euclidean mod. Oh. That might be a quick fix. Let me do Control D here. CD back a couple directories, CD back one more directory, ls here. CD back one more directory, ls. Thanks for that catch, by the way. Git branch, git checkout, master, git stash, git checkout, master. Okay, git branch, cd projects, cd contents, Euclidean algorithm, ls here, cd vi Euclidean algorithm.md, look for Kotlin here, there. Why isn't it showing? Let's just go G, and let me just go up here really quick. Kotlin. It should be showing the full thing. Why isn't it there? Okay. CD contents. What am I looking for here? CD content, then Euclidean algorithm, ls here, CD code, Kotlin, Euclidean.kt, but it's clearly not there. Is there a typo somewhere? I don't think so. It should be importing 15 to 26. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's the issue. Let me look for Java. Paste here. And let's just paste the full code. Write that, go over here. And let's just do npm run serve. Okay, this should be a quick fix, just to put the actual Kotlin code down. And then hopefully this is fine. So let's just scroll and make sure. Thanks for that catch, by the way. Obviously, you know, no one saw that until now. So, or maybe someone did and just didn't report on it. Okay, so let me open up another browser and go to localhost here. Take a look at the Euclidean algorithm again. Should be down here somewhere. Euclidean algorithm. Go to Kotlin here. And then, yeah, 1, 2, yeah, so it's there now. Great, okay, so in that case, let's just go ahead and submit this as a quick fix for the Kotlin code. Right quit, git checkout -b. Sorry, Euclidean, Euclidean Kotlin fix. Okay, git add dot git status, remove cname, git commit -m, adding Kotlin back to the chapter for the Euclidean algorithm. Okay, git push origin master, sorry, not master. Oh, I don't want to do that one. Euclidean Kotlin fix. And then I'll create that PR. Oh. Great. Great. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that PR while we're here. Okay. Algorithm archive. And compare pull request. For the list of languages. Okay, sounds good. Create the pull request. It should be pretty quick. I'm gonna let it linger there for just a second, just because I like letting things linger for a bit, but it should be fixed soon. Okay, so while that is doing its thing, let's go back to this guy. So what I need to figure out is why this Python code, why the output is so radically different than the Julia code. It has to do with the, the convolve linear function, I'm pretty sure. But it probably just has to do with the output size. So in their function main, where's main? What are they defining as the output size? So we have linear algebra norm, full linear output, sum of matrix dimensions x and y. So what are x and y defined as? X and y are create Gaussian signals 100, 100. But why is it so radically different then? Okay, let's go back to the convolution case. CD contents, convolutions, code, Python, and now we're just going to do GNU plot, simple, GNU plot, set, where is it? Set view map, and then full linear.dat. Right, that looks, I mean, that does not look right to me. Because if we do the full linear.dat for Julia, we get a remarkably different system. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to say, hey, look, we're getting a remarkably different thing. So set output, set terminal, PNG Cairo, set output, set output pycheck.png. And now we're just going to do that guy. Okay. Control D. CD backup directory, CD into Julia, ls here, and now we're just going to run GNU plot, set terminal png Cairo. Okay, set view map. What am I doing? The next thing I want to do is set output Julia check.png, and now we should just be able to plot things. Okay, so now if we do Control D, Mirage, Julia check.png, looks like that. Okay, great. So let's go over here and let's just see if we can add it. I'm just gonna say I haven't quite figured out the reason yet, but I think we can add images, can't we? Can we? Wait, how do we add images to add a link, add to task, instead of reply? Okay, I'm gonna ask a stupid question. Attach files by dragging them, or selecting and pasting them. Okay, that's what I wanted. So let's go to, just paste it from clipboard, it'll figure it out. Okay, I figured it out. It's okay. Projects, algorithm archive, contents, and then we want to go to convolutions, code, Python, pycheck.png. Okay, and then we also want the same one from Julia. So let's go here, back a directory, Julia check.png. Okay, so in here we're going to say the following. I guess I'm going to have to preview this. What does it look like when I preview it? Preview. Yeah. I'm just going to go up here and say I don't really fully understand why. At this stage, I don't understand why, but here is the output of your full linear.dat file, and then here is the one from Julia. I can dig. I'm just going to comment that and say, yeah, comment on that. Right. I think that's fine. I think I should have been a little bit nicer. Maybe a little bit nicer. I'm going to add another comment that's just going to be a little bit nicer than that. So what do we have here? I think they're a first-time contributor. I'm going to say I can dig into it in a bit. But not sure exactly. I can dig into it a bit, but kind of forgot all the convolution. I can dig into it in a bit. For now, to plot. How do I put this? But this will need to be fixed before merging. Thanks again. Okay, let's go ahead and comment on that. Okay, let's see if there's another pull request that we can just immediately tackle and solve right now, besides the one we just submitted, right? So we have Huffman encoding and Racket, Rust implementation of the Barnsley Fern. Let me see, there's someone who commented on this one. Without testing the code is correct, which I assume for now it isn't tested later. The code itself looks good to me. Good. So if the code looks good to me, then I can just run this code and make sure it actually produces the correct result. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience. So let's go ahead and do that. And if Lick's happy with the code, I can run it locally, make sure that it's good on my end, and we should be good to go. Let's see. I just made one for minor build details. That bothered me. Oh yeah, sounds good. Let me take a look there as well. Pull requests. Rename task to just build from build and deploy from GitHub Actions. Let's see what this is. Files changed. Build and deploy build. What is the difference between build and deploy and build? That's a stupid question, but it is a question I have. Oh, I see. Okay, that's just the name of it, isn't it? Like, so it was build and deploy because for the one that was on merge, yeah. Sounds good. Let's just go ahead and merge it. Quick fix. Let's do it. Review changes. Happy with it. Approve. Quick fix. Happy to merge. All right, let's go ahead and submit the review and merge that pull request. Squash and merge. Squash and merge. Cool. Okay, and now we'll just work on the Rust PR. I should... admittedly, I've forgotten how, but I should be able to at least run Rust code. That's all I have to do. Just run the Rust code, right? Git checkout, master. Okay, so now let's go ahead and pull the latest branch. Seems fine to me. Sure. All right, go over here. Let me look at the local host just to make sure that the Rust version looks good. I think it should. I don't really see what the problem would be. So I think I can just go here to the local host. Local host here. And let's go to the Barnsley Fern, which should be here. Change the code to... Oh. Let's rebuild. Where'd the Rust code go? CD. Sorry, CD projects, algorithm archive, contents, Barnsley Fern. Let's see, code, Rust. Now it's here. It is there. Was everything updated appropriately? Let's go here again to localhost and see where it is. Barnsley Fern. Come on, click. There we go. Rust. Perfect. All right, let me just make sure that the code. I think there's really only one section that needs to be updated here. I think it's just the example code at the end. Honestly, that's fine. Let's double check that just to make sure I'm not really dumb. All right, let's go into vi barnsley.md, look for end method. Yeah, it looks like there's just that one method. Good. Okay, that's totally fine. I usually like to build the code in with the chapter, but I apparently didn't do that with the Barnsley Fern. Apparently it was too mathy, and I decided the code would distract from that. So let's cd into code Rust. Okay. How do you compile Rust code? It's like grust, rust g, what? Using Qt browser. Yeah, I'm actually surprised at the number of people. I get a lot of YouTube comments and a lot of Twitch comments of people being like, you know, oh, you're using Qt browser. I didn't realize it was that popular. Rust C. That's what I wanted. Thank you. So we're gonna do Rust C, and we're gonna look for barnsley.rs, and hopefully this runs. Missing a rand. Okay. Maybe missing create rand. Rust C explain. Okay, that's fine. How do I install create rand? I'm so sorry, guys. I don't do that. I don't do any Rust. Like, the only Rust I've done is because of the algorithm archive, and it's because people have specifically requested that I use. I do some stuff in Rust, or people have submitted Rust, and I've had to build it locally. So to add a crate, let's see how to add a crate Rust. Importing crates. So let's see, what do we have here? Package, name, dependencies, cargo.toml. That was a thing, right? I'm now vaguely remembering a discussion we had a long time ago about Rust, where I was like, hey, probably we should have the cargo.toml available so everyone can install like the Rust packages easily and stuff like that. But people didn't do that. So package, random numbers. How do I, okay. Is it the only Rust file? Is there no cargo.toml with it? I don't know. There is no cargo.toml. It's just barnsley.rs. Okay. So the question is, if I add this in, will it work? Let's go here, and let's just go into vi cargo.toml. Okay. Are there any cargo.toml files at all? in the algorithm archive. Let's go back a couple of directories, cd one more directory, tree into tree.txt. All right, vi tree.txt, and let's go look for cargo. There are not. Okay, remove tree.txt. cd into Barnsley code. What are we doing? cd Barnsley code Rust. Okay. So I want to do just a simple installation of a crate. Find.l. So we didn't have any. Do cargo init and copy paste the code into main.rs and then add rand. Okay, so let's just do that step by step. So cargo init. Okay, and now we want to do copy and paste the code ls here vi cargo.toml. Okay. I think you need to call it main.rs then, but I'm not sure. Okay, so you want me to do... why did I do that? I deleted the terminal because I'm an idiot. 1 second. I'm so sorry. Okay, cd into projects, algorithm archive, contents, Barnsley, Rust, Barnsley code, Rust. Okay, ls here. So we're going to cp barnsley.rs into source main.rs, and then we're going to go to vi cargo.toml, and we have to add in dependencies, rand 0.84. Okay, write and quit. Okay, so what are we going to do here? I think we need to cd into cd into source, and now if we run rust c of main.rs. Okay. How do I compile it now? Okay. I'm so sorry. vi cargo.toml. Let's add that in there. Okay, cargo run. From the cargo.toml. Okay. Sorry, this is stuff I should have known, but I didn't. So it's fetching, I'm assuming rand, and doing its thing. So we'll give it a second. Hopefully it'll run, and then we'll get something simple that we can then plot. And then I will look. There was a discussion we had a while ago about whether we should have like the crate available with all of the cargo. I'm actually fairly confident now that I understand how Rust works that we should actually have the crate available. I'm using Arch Linux. In particular, I'm using OpenBox. The operating system doesn't really matter too much because honestly, well, okay. The operating system does matter, Linux matters, but outside of that, it really doesn't matter what flavor or distribution you want of Linux. The main thing is if you wanted your computer to look like my computer, you just need to know that I'm using OpenBox with a custom theme that I created specifically to keep everything black, white, and gray and as simple as possible. I don't have a desktop background, everything's super simple. Would be real nice for automation later if it has all the stuff to be able to do cargo run. Yeah, I agree. Okay, let me see what we can do then. I'm gonna just go ahead and mention that in here on the PR. I believe there was an issue available. Oh, I have way too many tabs open. Holy cow. So I'm gonna delete that one. Let me go to issues here. Your setup is pretty cool for a not programmer. Wait, what do you mean I'm a not programmer? What? I don't understand. How am I not a programmer? Let's see. Oh, this is Nick just opened up that one. Let's see. What do we have here? Finding an appropriate location for video hosting. GitHub organization. Gauss-Seidel. Oh yeah, we needed to work on that as well. Yeah, so I actually hate physics. I genuinely hate physics at this point. Physics was always an excuse for me to do more programming. That was why I did physics. So. But I mean, sure, you can argue that my PhD is technically in physics, but like, it's kind of a weird middle ground type of thing. In fact, I don't, outside of the fact that I say my PhD is in physics, I'm actually kind of confused as to why people keep thinking I'm a physicist. Because Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know where people are, like, where did I write physics? I'm trying to figure that out so I can remove it. Again, it's not that, calling me a physicist is not wrong, but I think it's probably more correct to say, like, my primary focus right now is research software engineering. Like, I'm closer to a software engineer than I am a physicist. But also, like, it's fine, right? Like, it's not, I'm kind of both, right? I was just surprised by the not a programmer thing. I'm like, huh, interesting. Because you're good at math, so you must do smart physics things, I thought. That's fair, right? I suppose in some sense, I do a lot of math, right? But that's totally fair. I was just surprised. I was surprised by the not a programmer comment. I'm not saying that you're wrong in saying that, because I probably could do way better with programming. I was just surprised by it. I believe this was fixed by switching to GitHub Actions with, what was it, 824? 821? 820, 8... I don't remember which one it was. Oh, fair enough. Henkdom, you're right. And actually, I don't know what to do about that. Because my logo is a spherical cow. And maybe I should fix it. Okay, maybe I should change that later. Thanks for that. Let's go to the closed PRs, and there should be one just recently for GitHub Actions 821. It was 821. I'm just dumb. Okay, so this is going to be 821. 821. Thanks for that. Comment. I should have closed with comment, but I didn't. I pressed the wrong button. Close issue. Oh no, now I give everyone 2 notifications. That must also be why. Yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to change the spherical cow thing, because like the whole shtick here, like the reason the name is Laos is because Laos is like, it was used in the Bible. Okay, it's a weird thing. Like, just, okay, hear me out. I originally wanted to go by the name Telios, which was used in the Bible to like raise, to destroy things, like, you know, that type of thing. But then I settled on the word Laos because it sounded more like a normal name. But also it was used in the Bible like once or twice to mean like making rough things smooth. And I was like, oh, that's a really good theme to go with. I should like completely theme my entire channel about like making difficult to understand things easier to understand. And so I was like, well, what's one cool abstraction for that? Well, the spherical cow. You know, you can take this complicated object that is a cow and turn it into a sphere, and therefore it becomes easy to understand with some abstractions. Hank Dom, I remembered the quote. I knew where it was. I knew it was in the FAQ. But thank you so much for pointing that out. I had completely forgotten. The panic is real. What panic? Are we in trouble? Is something not working correctly? Oh no. But yeah, so the entire theme of the channel, the name Laos, the spherical cow, is all supposed to be like this way to make rough things, hard things to understand, easy to understand. So rough things smooth, that type of thing. That's the whole idea. Which is, yeah, I gotta be honest, I never really explained it very well. But yeah, the joke is that's the joke. The close and merge is something I mess with all day. Oh yeah. Yeah, I totally know that feeling. I just did it, right? Okay, so what am I doing next? There was a reason I went to the issues. What was the reason I went to the issues? Oh no. This is like that whole thing when you walk into a door and you forget what you were doing. What was I doing? Holy cow. Right, I was looking for the crate thing. So let's look for crate. Crate. No, it's not there. But I think there is an issue available here. I just don't remember which one. We should definitely change the master branch. Find an appropriate location for video hosting. Julia test for approximate count incorrect. Oh, is it incorrect? Oh no. Someone brought this up on stream and I don't remember what the problem was. Oh, now I remember what the problem is. Right, I remember what it is exactly. Wow, I'm so scattered right now. Okay, let's fix the Rust code, and then we'll fix the approximate counting code, and then, okay, just one step at a time. Just someone in chat remind me, approximate counting after Rust. Okay, so we're going to do Rust code first, and I specifically need to find, we have PR template unification, we've got compilation instructions for languages that require it. This is the one. And in particular, I mentioned Rust, and I think we mentioned crates. Crate. I do not. So let me see if there's another one here. I had some trouble getting 686 working. Oh, right, this is the same with Rust. Okay, so in here I'm going to specifically mention, let's see, instructions globally are fine, but we need some sort of some part of it locally as well. For example, some of the code in the archive uses libraries such as Rust for generating random numbers. It's useful to have some instructions on this, on which libraries to load locally. In the case of Rust, the cargo.toml file. Right. I even mentioned it in the Rust version of the iterative function system. Was this already discussed? Oh, is this the same? No, this is for iterative function systems. So here I'm going to say similar to... Yeah, okay, similar to the iterative function system version. Okay, there's a lot here. There's a lot going on here. Added Rust implementation without testing the code. Okay, so let's go here. Let's make sure the code ran. And then I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry. L is here. We should have out.dat. So let's just run GNU plot. And we're just going to plot out.dat. Should be a Barnsley fern. There's something wrong about that fern, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it doesn't look right. Let me go to the Julia code really quick. Control D, CD backer directory, CD backer. Oh, come on. I can type. CD into Julia. L is here, and let's just run GNU plot. And then run plot out.dat. That's what it's supposed to look like. Okay, so what was the issue over here? CD into backer directory into Rust. ls, let's go into vi barnsley.rs. So this has to do with this must do with their operators, right? So where do they define the operators? They define the operators here. So there must be just an issue with one of these. Let me go here to CD projects, CD contents. What am I doing? I'm in the algorithm archive. Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. Okay. CD into contents, Barnsley Fern, code Julia, ls here, vi out.dat, sorry, barnsley.jl. Okay, so what are the operators here? So we should have 000016001, sure, 0.85, 0.04, negative 0.04, 0.85, 1.60. Then we have 20262322, and then we have 1528. Is that it? 2624. And then the rest seem fine. So let's change this to an 8. Okay, let's see what happens if we run, what was it, cargo run? Cargo run. Let's just do GNU plot. I'm not sure if I fixed anything, because I don't... Did I rerun it? Did cargo run? What does Control R do? Alright, I'd rather not. I'm so sorry, I prefer not to do that. Okay, let's just remove out.dat again. And let's just do cargo run again, GNU plot, and now we're going to run out.dat. Okay, clearly that's not right. But I'm not exactly sure what's wrong with it. Right, I know I can search in shell history with Control R, sorry. I thought for some reason it would do something different in GNU plot. But I know what Control R does, sorry. Here? Okay. So it still has to, I'm pretty sure it's still something wrong with the operators. But I don't know exactly what was wrong. 0, 1, oh wait a minute, is that it? 022, there should be a 1.6 here. Try that. Okay, so now we're gonna run GNU plot and plot out.dat. Control D, try it one more time. Okay, what do we have? Okay, I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm just checking the numbers here. So it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 6, 0, 0, 0, 1. Then we have 0.85, 0 0.04, 0 0.00, negative 0 0.04, 0 0.85, 1.6, 0 0.0, 0 0.0, 1.0. Sorry, I'm just reading out numbers here. 0.2, 0 0.26, negative 0 0.26, 0, 0.23, 0 0.22, 1.6, 0 0.0, 0 0.0, 1.0, negative 0.15, 0.28, 0.0, 0.26, 0.24, 0.44, 0, 0, 1. Okay, everything else seems fine. Like, the operators look correct. And then we have the Barnsley probabilities are going to be 0.01, 0.85, 0.7, 0.07. Darn. Okay, so the rest of it looks fine. But there's clearly something wrong here. Let me actually look at the chapter again. Because maybe there's something in there. Algorithm archive here. Let's go to the Barnsley Fern. I know I did some sort of visualization here of this, maybe? No. I'm writing the iterative function systems article code in x80. Oh, whoa! Holy cow! It's required to use Intel syntax because existing code is Intel syntax. I'm doing it in AT&T syntax. That's totally fine. But it's crazy, man. Like, I'm happy to hear that, but it's crazy. So the answer is write it in whatever you want, and if we need to add a new language, we can. That's totally fine. Okay, so that does that. This does that. Which one makes the leaves smaller? This does that. This one does that. Okay, none of them make the leaves smaller, though. What is the issue with this code, then? We have the function chaos game. We have the probability set correctly. Was there a copy-paste error with the operators here? So, px, py, pz, zzz, yyyy, xxx. Okay, let me just run GNU plot one more time, and now we're just going to run out.dat. What is going on here? It looks to me... I mean, it's still got the curve going this way, right? I was going to say that maybe there's something weird going on with the... Like... Well, let me see what happens if I try something really quick. Control D, Barnsley.rs. So Julia is column oriented, whereas C and I think Rust is also row. Can you open? So they are technically open both side by side. It's just one's way smaller. So let me try to get them both side by side really quick. So I'm gonna do large here, maybe medium. Maybe I can make them both medium and put them side by side. Medium. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just have to make the text really small, and I don't know if people can actually read that. So what I think... Oh, the plots. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, let's move this down here. Make this huge again. Let's move this here. Okay, I'm going to do Q there, and I'm going to do Q there. I should be in the right directory, so if I just run GNU plot, and then we run plot out.dat, and we go over here, run GNU plot, and then we run plot out.dat. Here are the two of them. So that's one, and then there's the other. So wait, let me put them in order. So this is the one for Julia, and this is the one for Rust. The thing is, this line here is correct, right? It's just everything else is not. So I'm thinking about which operation would do that, and to me it seems like there's this operation. Oh, wrong operation. There is this operation here, which will create the upward movement. So I think that operation's fine. I think the stem operation is fine. I think this one is the one that's wrong. So I think that one's wrong, and I think this one's wrong. It's the scale of the plot. I don't think so. I mean, they're both... This is from 10 to 0, negative 2.5 to 3, negative 2.5 to 3, 10 to 0. It's the same scale. It's not like I'm using log scale in one or anything like that. Yeah, let me also take a look at the... So, also note that the first leaf here is on the right, whereas the first leaf here is on the left. I'm almost wondering if this could be a situation where the Rust code... Again, so Julia does everything column-based, whereas Rust might do everything row-based. So that could be an issue, but what I don't understand is if that's an issue, why do we still have the stem and... Well, the stem operation, I guess, would be the same. But why is it still moving in this like diagonal direction upwards? Okay, let's just kind of poke around a bit more. Okay, so we're going to go into VI. Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. CP. Barnsley.rs into source main.rs. And let's just run cargo run again. And now we're going to run GNU plot, and then we're going to run plot out.dat. Ah, that didn't help at all. I had been updating the wrong file, so I thought, oh, now let's update the correct file, because I had been updating, I was updating barnsley.rs instead of main.rs. Okay, so let's just update the correct file now, source main, .rs. So is there something wrong with the other two operations? Let's see. Px, py. So we have the three operations here. I can do the same thing I did with the other one, where it's like, hey, here's the difference between one and the other. I don't fully understand why they're different, but they are different. So let's see. What do we have here? Initial location. So we have the chaos game in here. We have select array. Hutchinson operator probabilities, delimited files. We have chaos game in here. Okay. So we say for 1 through n, I'm looking at the Julia code. For 1 through n, we have the output points is equal to this, and then we select the array for Hutchinson. So we have select array here. I'm not sold that that's actually the best way to do that, but that's how I wrote it. So, you know, it is what it is. Okay, maybe I just output both of these guys to file and say, hey, the Barnsley fern doesn't quite look right, and I'm not entirely sure why. And I just do the same thing I just did and say, again, I can dig into it, but maybe you guys can figure it out since you guys know the Rust code as well. Maybe that's what I do for this one as well. I don't like that solution, but I did poke around and I noticed at least the operators were slightly wrong. Okay. I'm going to mention that at least the numbers were kind of wrong here. And then I'm going to just put the two images up next to each other. And that's how I'm going to leave this one. I'm going to say, hey, look, the images aren't quite right here. I don't exactly know what to do about that. So let's run GNU plot, set output rscheck.png. Okay, and now we're going to do the last plot function here. I forgot set terminal png Cairo. And now we're going to do set output and plot out.dat. Okay, over here we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to do GNU plot. Then we're going to do set terminal png Cairo. And now we're going to do set output jlcheck.png. And now we're going to do plot out.dat. Okay, great. Control D, so we have the two of them, and let's just go ahead and go to the pull request. And then I think we're going to be basically done with pull requests for now. So there's two things to mention here. The first one is, so two important things to note here. The first of which is, one, where was that issue? Algorithm archive, is this the issue? No, that's the Barnsley Fern. That's the one I'm on. Rust version of iterated function system. And let's do 691. As per 691, we are thinking about adding build instructions for certain languages, like Rust. This just means that Rust should probably have a cargo. One second. Is it capital C? I think it is capital C. Cargo.toml to go with it, so people can just run cargo. What is it? Cargo run? Yep, cargo run. So that's one thing to point out. And the other thing to point out is too, the code produces the following result. And I'm just going to put the image in here. And I'll just do the drag and drop thing, see if that works. Projects, algorithm archive, contents, Barnsley, code, Rust, here. And then, let's see, go down here. It should produce the following. Yeah, let's go ahead and put that image in. So we're going to go back, go to Julia, and jlcheck.png. I noticed, let's see. I noticed that the operators were right a little off. So Nick was mentioning that, and I was like, oh, I should do that next time. But maybe is a bigger... Oh, drag and drop. I misread that entirely. Because Julia is column major, while Rust is row major. I did not dig too much deeper into the code, but I can in a bit. Okay, so we're going to close with a comment, and I'm also going to leave a review comment as a suggestion in just a second. So let's do... Okay. So what am I going to do next? I want to do files changed, go in here, and grab these lines in here. Okay. And let's do suggestion. Did I close the PR? No, I didn't. Gosh darn it. Oops. My bad. Oh well, that was a complete accident. Where was I with the code? Add a Rust implementation for the Barnsley Fern. Should be in here. Actually, let's drop this back a line. No, stop it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Such a noob. Okay, so let's go here, and then I want to go into vi main, source and main.rs, and grab the lines that I had and add them as a suggestion. So let's go down here. I think these are the lines I need. And then a suggestion. Paste this in here. I say, again, this doesn't solve the issue exactly. But at least these numbers look more correct. To me. Okay. Add a single comment. At least you can close and comment in one action. At least you closed and comment. Yeah, I didn't mean to. I didn't know if this was on purpose, but scratch code usually is shown as an image, but on FFT it's a link. Yeah, so that one, so the reason was that the FFT chapter was one of the first chapters that was written for the algorithm archive, and at the time we didn't know exactly how to we didn't know exactly how to put all the code into the algorithm archive, and so at the time we just put a link. that should be fixed, and I think actually there is currently an issue for that already available. Okay, so there's one other thing I want to do before finishing, and that is fix the tests for the approximate counting algorithm in Julia. So that's the next thing that I need to do. Let me see if... yeah, okay, there's a bunch of different things. Let me just go ahead and close a bunch of tabs that I don't need anymore. So I don't need that anymore. I'm not going to need this anymore. That I don't need, that I don't need. I'm probably going to need that in just a second. I probably don't need that. I think these are the same. No, they're not. That? No, I need that. Oh my gosh. That's the same. Oh man, it is crazy right now. Algorithm archive, I'm going to need that up. Let's see. I can remove that. Compilation instructions, rest version for the iterative function system. Algorithm archive, right. Okay, good. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Perfect. Okay, let's go here. I wish browsers can consolidate duplicate tabs. Yeah, I mean, in principle, right, I should just be better at managing, but I'm just not. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is fix an issue I have with the Julia code for approximate counting. CD projects, algorithm archive, contents, approximate counting, ls here, cd into code, Julia, ls, vi into get status dot. Oh, get checkout master, get stash. That's fine. Get checkout master. Okay. ls here. Why do I have all these PDFs and stuff here? Are those in the... Those aren't in the algorithm archive, are they? I once had 1,400 open tabs. That's crazy. I'm sorry to hear that. Let me go to the algorithm archive really quick and check to see if under contents, approximate counting, code Julia. Yeah, it's just the approximate counting.jl. Okay, so here's the problem with the approximate counting.jl. If I do Julia approximate counting.jl, I'm going to get an error. vi approximate counting.jl. I was told that there was a problem with the test. I don't know what the problem with the test is. So function test approximate count. We have a number of trials, a number of items, and then a and a threshold. So here we have a number of trials, a number of items. Do I have multiple test? Did I screw this up? No? Okay, well, let's just do this differently. So the number of trials, the number of items in each trial, and then the threshold is going to be at the end. So let's just bring this to the end. 0.1, and then close this up here, and then 0.1. Okay, so what is this doing? We are going to do 100 trials for each of them. We will have a certain number of items that we're counting to, 1,000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And then we're going to have A as 30, 10, and 0.5. Perfect. All right, quit. Let's just run over here, cd back a couple directories, cd back into approximate counting, ls, cd into code, Julia, ls here, run Julia, and let's just include, and let's do approximate counting.jl. We're testing them all. Oh no, one of them failed. Okay, that's fine. Which one was it that failed? Okay, I think I know which one it failed. It's gonna be this last one, and I think I know why. Let's just change that to 0.2, and that should all pass. Yeah, that passes. Okay, fine, fair enough. Let's go ahead and add this. Right quit, git add, approximate counting. 1 second, let me change branches. Git checkout. Well, let me actually run this a few more times just to make sure they pass more frequently. Include here. And the reason I want to check this is because I don't know, I just want to run it a few more times. I mean, we're running multiple tests, like, you know, we're running 100 trials, so I just ran like 500 trials of each of them just to make sure, but, you know, so git checkout -b, Julia, approximate counting Julia fix. Okay, that's what it's called. You guys are just gonna have to deal with it. Did you push Rust cargo stuff? I didn't push it. What I did is I just mentioned that there's an error and I can't figure out where the error was with that Rust stuff. Okay, so we have git checkout-b approximate counting Julia fix, git add approximate counting.jl, git commit -m, fixing order of function a call? No. What is it? You have the argument, function arguments. Okay, git push origin and then approximate counting Julia fix, because that's what I called it. Okay, perfect. And then I'll go ahead and create a PR for this one as well. Okay, new branch, go back over here. It's in Paro, we should have algorithm archive here, there, and then compare and pull request. And as wait, what was the issue here that I created? I should have just created a pull request at the time. I don't know why I created an issue. Okay, this is something that we need to talk about, but Julia test for counting incorrect. 822. This is fixes 822. Fixes at 822. Okay, let's create the pull request. Okay, great. Let's take this, remove that, and I think that should be fine. What version of Julia do I use? Right now, I think I'm using Julia 1.6.2. You're right, maybe that should be mentioned somewhere. But basically, the latest binary is what I use pretty much all the time. Sometimes I will actually build it manually. It just depends on what I need. And sometimes I'll go back for like Julia 1.5, which is what I had to do for some stuff for kernel abstractions back in the day. So yeah, I think I want to take like a 5-minute break to kind of talk about something else for a bit before moving back to other things. So how's everyone doing? Are you guys all okay? I hope everyone's doing okay. So let's see. Okay, in fact, I think I'm gonna be right back, guys. So give me just a second. Give me just 1 second. Right, see you in a bit. Okay, I'm back. Give me just 1 second, guys. Yeah, so there's a bunch of other things that we can work on here. Let me pull up Zernal PP. Okay, so there's a bunch of projects that I'm thinking about right now. Why did you remove the sorting searching articles? So for the record, I only had one sorting searching article, which was Bubble Sort. The only other sorting searching article I had was BOGO Sort. That's actually a very good question as to why I removed them, but the answer is the following. Journal, new page before. When people are looking for an algorithm textbook, the very first things that they go to are always sorting and searching. And the reason for that is because the curriculum, for some reason, well, not for some reason, I know why, is incredibly biased towards sorting and searching, right? So when you think about algorithms, the very first thing you always think of is sorting and searching. And I just don't like that narrative, that algorithms are only really useful for this one thing. More than that, if you want to learn about sorting and searching, there's plenty of other resources online that can teach you these topics. The algorithm archive, even though I always call it the algorithm archive, has the word arcane before it for a reason. It's the arcane algorithm archive. It's meant to be for algorithms that people don't typically see, or algorithms that are not particularly well covered in other areas. Like, for example, the approximate counting algorithm is perfect for this. The split operator method, again, perfect. Convolutions, although they're covered a lot, I don't think are covered well in other places. FFT is the same way. So it's like algorithms that I feel like need more love. These are the algorithms that I put on the algorithm archive. It's why the Euclidean algorithm's there. It's why, Gale Shapley is there. It's why stuff like that. It's like, it's not, the tagline is all algorithms in all languages, because eventually, yeah, we hope to get there. But in actuality, the hope is that we focus more on algorithms that people don't know or care about. And I know that's an awful business model, but at the same time, it's kind of more in line with the idea of like computational thinking and stuff like that, where you focus on things that allow you to think differently in a computational sense, right? So like you think how do you solve physics problems, right? You do this with DMRG. Well, DMRG, or plenty of different ways, but one potential way is with dense matrix renormalization group. And I really do feel like, that particular algorithm is very poorly covered elsewhere. So that's another perfect algorithm to talk about, right? And so that's kind of, I don't know, that's the main reason why I don't have sorting and searching, because it's an algorithm book, and every algorithm book on Earth has sorting and searching. So I feel like maybe it's important to focus on things that other people haven't focused on. I know that's kind of really weird and annoying for some people, because they're like, oh, I really wish I could just find bubble sort on the algorithm archive. But I mean, I just don't have any passion for those algorithms, so I don't really want to cover them so much, not right now. Newth's Volume 3, called Sorting and Searching. Right. The Art of Computer Programming has so much stuff in it as well. I don't know. I don't know. I get kind of in my head when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I'm not confident that we can actually do sorting and searching well right now, or not confident that I can do it well. So I haven't put it in there. I should have drank water when I took my break just a second ago, but I didn't. So, yeah, let me get more water. 1 second. I actually have two different drinks. One is kind of like an energy drink. I just have it because, again, I'm trying to get my stream stamina back up and do these longer streams and stuff like that. I am in Japan right now. So I'm currently in Okinawa, and I'll be here for another week and maybe 2 weeks or something like that. Maybe more, maybe more. Definitely not less. But then I'm going to be going to Barcelona, and in Barcelona, I'm convinced that the time zones are just not going to work out. Like, there's just going to be no one who's actually going to be able to watch stream at the times that I'm going to be able to stream, because it's going to be like basically 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In Spanish time, whatever time that happens to be, maybe GMT or something. And like, European viewers can't watch because they're all at work. American viewers can't watch because they're all asleep. Japanese viewers can watch, but like, quite frankly, there isn't really a big audience of Japanese or Australian viewers. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't really, there isn't really a good time for me to stream that works for everyone once I move to Europe. At least in the US, or at least in Japan, if I streamed from like 5 to 7 in the morning, I could hit people late at night in Europe and then slowly pick up people during the day in the US. But that's just not, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I will find people, but it's just most of my core audience, like, will not be able to watch. So that's also why I was thinking about making the YouTube videos more like you may have a night owl, young adults. Yeah, that's probably true as well. But this is also why I kind of wanted the YouTube channel to kind of more give a conversational vibe instead of a educational vibe in the future as well. So people who are looking for more of a conversational type of content who would normally go to the Twitch stream could maybe find some of that in the YouTube videos as well. But we'll see. Okay, let's talk about what we have to do and kind of where I want to go. So we did a lot of algorithm archive work in the past hour, and I'm relatively happy with what we did. Sure, we basically found that 2 PRs aren't quite ready yet. We merged 1 PR and then created 2 PRs. So ultimately, we created more work for ourselves, but that's okay. What time would it be in EST? I don't know. Spanish time zone. I think it's GMT. Time zones in Spain. I am gonna be in Central European summertime is probably the one I'm in. So let's do CEST to well, let's do 9 a.m. in EST. So it's going to be 3 a.m. Eastern time at 9 o'clock a.m. I might be able to hit some of the morning slots if I stream in the afternoon. Yeah, I'll figure it out. So let's do in JST. So that's going to be in the evening. Yeah, it's going to be the afternoon JST, which isn't too far from what I'm on right now. Like right now it's 2 o'clock in the 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Japanese Standard Time. So it really isn't too far off. But yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm just going to try to find stream times that work for people and do what I can. There isn't really much more I can say about it. Okay, so let's talk about things that we need to talk about. So the first thing is I actually have a GPU skill pill, or mini course I'm teaching at OIST related to, well, GPU engineering. So sometime this week we need to talk about performance testing for GPU applications. Okay, so let's talk about other things that we need to do. I would like to take Impero and extend it to the nonlinear Schrodinger equation or the Gross-Bedievsky equation to do superfluid simulations. There's a lot of stuff that we have to do here, including figuring out exactly how to hook the Impero stuff into like some sort of solver, particularly a spectral solver and stuff like that. So that's something else we need to do. Because in like a week, I will start to wake up around 6 a.m., so I might be able to get the later half of the streams. Oh, that's fair. I mean, I'd be happy to see you there, obviously. But we'll see. I won't be moving to Europe until, I don't know, September 4th at the earliest, but we might have to delay the flights because we haven't gotten the visa stuff all settled. There's just a lot of little things that we have to do. So because of that, I don't really know the exact date. And also for the first 2 weeks when I'm there, I probably will not be streaming, specifically because I just have too much other things I need to get done, like in terms of moving and all of that kind of stuff. So it probably just means a 2-week break. And then back to some time zone that may or may not work for people. In fact, it probably won't. I mean, I know a lot of people are on like California time or whatever. I think right now isn't awful for California time. I think it's 10 o'clock or about 10 o'clock p.m. For people in California. Do you have access to good GPUs? How are you going to do it? Right now, I'm just going to use the I'm going to use the GPU on my system for the stuff on stream, but at OIST, the Okinawa Institute of Science Technology, we have a pretty good cluster that has a large number of GPUs that are very underutilized, so it will be easy to do there. I'm going into the second year of college, and I have like half an hour between classes. Oh, yeah, I totally understand that. At least for me, my undergraduate was way, way busier than my my time at OIST. And I say that knowing that my time at OIST, I woke up at 5 every day. I did my stream from 5 to 7. I worked out from 7 to 8. I then immediately went to work, and I worked there from like 9 until 6 or 7 at night, and then at 7 o'clock at night I went home and, you know, I made myself dinner, and then I read papers. Like, I didn't really have leisure time as a PhD student. Even so, my undergraduate was even busier. I literally spent all of my time like trying to be a better person, if that makes sense. Like, I spent all of my time you know, learning different things between physics, bio, and chemistry. I already knew a bunch of computer science, but I was doing research in psychology, different areas of physics. I was just doing a lot because I was trying to figure out what I was interested in. And so, you know, honestly, college was a very pivotal time in my life, but I was also incredibly sleep deprived and undoubtedly a bit hard to deal with. I was also hard to deal with during the PhD as well, but that's for other reasons. Will the lecture slides be released? I think they will be released online. Now, here's the thing. I was wondering if it would be important to make a video on this type of thing or not. So I guess this is kind of my question, right? Like, I could make a video. Oh my God, why? Why am I just so bad today with hitting the microphone? I could make a video on the GPU stuff, right? But I don't actually know what the narrative of that video would be. Because I feel like it's just a lot of programming to put into a lecture or something like that. Besides, all of the information that I'm going to show is basically already available on, if you just Google Julia GPU, you'll find it. So you go to Julia GPU, you go here, and, you know, it's either on this site, which I'll show you, I'll give you guys access here, or it's going to be on, under Learn, and maybe CUDA.jl documentation here. So it's going to be one of these two places. And so for that reason, I kind of feel like it might not be worth making a video on the technical details, but it might be worth talking about what a GPU is, why it's good at certain tasks, and then maybe using it for a quick benchmark to show its performance over the CPU. But it's such a... Here's the thing. Doing a performance test from GPU to CPU is not well defined, because it's very difficult to find. Like, you're basically comparing two radically different sets of hardware, right? You're comparing the CPU with doing a task that it's probably not very good at, to the GPU doing a task that it is particularly well suited for, right? And so what you've got to be sure when you're doing these benchmarks, well, when you're looking at benchmarks, you have to be sure that you take them all with a grain of salt, because, yeah, okay, sure, you might see that a particular code base is way faster in its GPU version than its CPU version, or the other way around. But again, you're working on different hardware, so that benchmark isn't really, it's not the same, right? It's not a proper benchmark, right? You're using different hardware, probably different software like methods. Everything's just a bit different, right? So I don't know. As much as I kind of want to give some discussion of parallel programming on my channel, because it's something I do a lot, I kind of feel like we can just use parallel processing a bunch of different times. Like, for example, what if we did the approximate counting algorithm in parallel? So if we did the approximate counting algorithm in parallel, we could have each individual thread have access to the entire count available. And this would be an interesting application for approximate counting and stuff like that. I think actually that might be quite useful. Yeah. Anyway, I've got some ideas of how to do like different parallel solves and stuff like that. So I feel like people will kind of learn the parallelism as we go along. I don't think it's too important to go further than that. What did I just do? I just lost chat. Give me a second. Let's do IRSSI again, and then join SimULAIOS. Cool. Okay, chat is back. I typed in Control Z because I thought I was over here. Control Z. There we go. There's another thing that I want to do here, though. So we have performance testing for GPU applications. Then we have Impero, which I want to move to the Gross-Pdfski equation. But honestly, see, this is kind of the problem, right? Like, because I'm at OIST, there are a bunch of like different physics simulations that I'm kind of sort of wanting to finish up. You know, like, for example, GPU-E, which is the Gross-Pdfski equation solver using GPUs, or rather, a GPU-based Gross-Pdfski equation solver, whichever it is the code base that I wrote primarily for my PhD. And though there were a bunch of interesting projects that appeared while I was doing the PhD, I didn't actually do any of those projects. And I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm not super interested in finishing that area. So even though this is something that I kind of wanted to get done, it's not something I'm like super excited for. Meanwhile, there's actually a whole bunch of other areas that I actually do really want to get into. Like for example, fractal compression, that I kind of just want to do, you know? So let's talk about that. Fractal. So I guess my question is, like, for the guys who are watching the stream, what's the stuff dealing, like, looking around with the symbolic utils and stuff like that with Julia? Is that interesting for you guys, or would you prefer something kind of more? I don't know. I had to ask what you guys have to think about, what you guys think about it. You know, again, we could do some simple superfluid simulations and stuff. In fact, let me just see how Impero hooks works right now. So algorithm archive, we can remove some issues here. Here's symbolic utils. Let me just see what we have for Impero hooks, which is, I think, what takes Impero and hooks it into the Klima, backend. So let's go here to H, and let's go to there, and let's do Impero. Impero hooks.jl. Okay. This is a repo to hook everything in. So let's do examples, and let's do potential curl.jl. Right. Okay. Yeah. So literally, we're gonna have to put in all of the backend work. Okay. I need to think about this a bit more. Okay. So even if we do have an abstract syntax tree available, we still have to plug it into some sort of solver, right? And that's what we don't have right now. So it's good that we looked into this, because I had forgotten what the state was of Impero. So basically what we have here, Impero allows for us to do basically the abstract syntax tree level manipulation, so AST manipulations. But what it doesn't have is, for example, a PDE solver. It just allows for us to better write that PDE solver so that we can then actually do the solution somewhere else. And so the idea was we have some sort of AST manipulation, and the PDE solver was done via Klima before. But I was thinking maybe the PDE solver could be done via GPUE, and that was maybe where I was going for. What is a solver? What solver does? Integration. Yeah, it does a bunch of different things depending on what you need. So if we go back down here for the AST, it does kind of like, it's the thing that does the grids, the bounds, and the derivatives, and integrals as well if you need that for the equation. It's the thing that does all of that. So Impero apparently just does this first half, and then the solver does the rest of it. So you could, for example, do a finite element method or something, or a finite difference, or you could do a pseudo-spectral method, which is what we did with the split operator method. All that kind of stuff would work. So, okay, it is discrete. It is not symbolic. So basically, all the symbolic stuff was done on Impero's side, and all the discrete stuff is going to be done on the solver's side, whatever you want the solver to be. Now, I do have an interesting idea in the future related to, where's fractal compression in here? Here it is. Related to using fractal compression for a better PDE solver. I have an idea of how this might work, and I'm actually pretty excited for it, like incredibly excited for it. But again, it's something that like I can't do right now because I have to get the fractal compression stuff done. So it's building into that. And I figure that, you know, we just did approximate counting. I don't know, there's a bunch of little things I want to try with approximate counting, actually. That one was one of those that really made me think a lot about different things. Why do you need an AST in this case? Well, you need the AST for a couple of different reasons. The first reason is that, so there's a couple of different reasons why you want the AST. So it's a very good question though. So why do you want an AST? Why use an AST? Okay, the first reason, and just hear me out, physicists, one second, physicists are not programmers. Okay, that sounds like a really stupid reason, but it actually is a very important reason. If you ask a physicist to write a model, no matter what the model is, they will write the model, but it won't be efficient. It won't necessarily be fast or efficient. And a lot of times it won't even be under version control. Like, there will be a lot of issues with that particular thing. Physicists know math, so translating from the math to the background, to the actual solver that's being used, means that physicists never have to touch code, because the solver, differential equations.jl, whatever it happens to be, just, it doesn't care, right? All it knows is that I have to do a derivative now and all this kind of stuff. So this allows for us as programmers to do number two. And number two is that we can make the code faster in the back end. So, I wrote ent instead of end. So on the one hand, the syntax will be slightly more friendly for physicists because it's something that they know and they understand. They don't have to write hundreds of thousands of lines of code. It's general. So before, you'd basically have to write one code base per PDE, essentially. But now you can just write whatever you want, and it generally solves it. So that's number one. That's why this is important. The second one is, given a PDE, there's a lot of questions as to, like, when do you do the integral? Because doing an integral is incredibly slow on GPUs. When do you do the derivative? Because the derivative is also a slow operation. How do you add things together in the right way? How do you simplify the abstract syntax tree to make sure you're doing the minimal number of calculations? All of that kind of stuff is stuff that we can do on the back end now that we didn't have access to before. And so by doing things at the abstract syntax tree level, we can remove all of these complications out of the hands of physicists and put them into a code base that can actually do it correctly. I'm so sorry. I moved stuff around on accident. And so that's the answer why you want to use the AST. I guess the truth is, I'm not sure if using the abstract syntax tree, if this is interesting to people or not. I was thinking about making a video on using abstract syntax trees to solve partial differential equations. I was thinking about making that video to explain why you might want to work on things at the abstract syntax tree level. But I don't really have a code base right now that can do everything yet. Unless I plug Impero into differential equations.jl or something like that as a backend. So that's kind of where I'm at there. If I were to talk about this project, I would really want some way to plug this into some background solver so people don't have to think about that aspect of the code. Yeah. What is bytecode? Also, P-code is a form of instruction set designed for efficient execution by a software interpreter. Unlike human-readable source code, bytecode are compact numerical codes, constants, and references. Oh, right. Yeah, so in principle, the Julia compiler is already doing this. Okay, lower than assembly. Okay, never mind. That's not what I thought it was. I thought this was like LLVM level. But you're saying it's lower than assembly? Wait. So now I'm a bit confused. So the way the Julia compiler works is that it essentially takes every function. This is LLVM level. Okay, if it's LLVM level, then the Julia compiler is already doing this for us. So in that case, it's totally fine. Also, no reason, I didn't know what it was to begin with at all. So like, hey, this is stuff that I should know, but I don't. Okay, so like, for example, I could actually just do at code LLVM of info, I guess, of 1, and this will actually give me the let me create a function then. Function test of AB. 1 second, and it's going to be return A plus B. End. Okay, so now I can do at code LLVM of test of 1, 2, and this will give me the LLVM code for that. This is actually one of the reasons I really like Julia, because it gives you access to this level of code and stuff that you can work with. Now, do I use it a lot? No. What I end up using is at code typed warn type for test. So, for example, if I do at code warn type of test 1 and then 2.0, it should give me an error. Oh no, it just says that we have 2 float 64 is being read in. But maybe if I do, Well, it returns it as a float 64, right? Because it says A plus B is now going to be returned as a float 64. So sometimes there's going to be some type instabilities and stuff that I have to pay attention to. Is there a way to run this in a Julia file? Run import package, add package, add FFTW to install the FFTW package. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, no problem. What I might do there is a bit of metaprogramming. I'm not really sure, but you know, maybe that's what I would do. To say, yeah. In fact, we might, if we want to do that for the algorithm archive Julia files, what we might want to do is like have a list of dependencies for each thing. Yeah, have a list of dependencies for each thing. And just make sure that that's added to the global scope. Oh, that's exactly what a package is for. Right, no. So what we'd want to do in that case is we'd actually want to create a Julia package. So if we look here, we have a vi manifest.toml, and this actually tells you the dependencies of all of the different, things that you need, right? And so, right, in that case, that's what we should do. We should make it so every Julia program also comes with the manifest.toml. Let me go ahead and write that down in that PR, since I'm thinking about it right now. So let's go here, go to the algorithm archive. That's a good point, by the way. Algorithm archive, issues, and now we're going to go to, where was it? Compilation instructions for languages that require it. As a note here, so in, one second, including the cargo.toml file, Julia files should probably all have, do we want a manifest, or do we want, I think I'm over here. So we've got the manifest.toml, but I think a project.toml is all we need. And let's see, what do we want to update then? I suppose we want to update a project manifest. Let's see, available, so users can load everything. Oh my gosh, I can't type. With just Julia project. Okay, I just want to make sure that's written down. Comment. Take a look. Wait, that's pull request 5? One second. Move this up. Okay. Julia build. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, that's really good. Setup job. Is this to build everything? Let me see what you did on the, one second. What do we have here? Pull request. This is issue number 691. Issues here. Run out Julia files is what we should look at. Yeah, this is nice. Actually, I really like that. Using globbing and a bit of comparison magic. So what I'm going to say here is that a really important, that we need some consistent run way to run all of the tests in every language. 691. Right. Okay. One second. Yes, it was, but they mostly fail for dependencies. Right, that's totally fine. So I think what this means is that I need to go back and I need to just add like a manifest.toml or project.toml for all of those files. And I think that's fine. That's on me as the Julia developer, and I should have that. So, right, so that's good. And I'm just gonna go ahead and edit this here. In particular, certain languages, Julia and Rust, should come with all the necessary files let's see, like Julia Rust, to load dependencies. Okay, I'm just gonna put that in there. We need to do it for Python, C#, etc. Right, I also agree with that. We need to put that down, because honestly, having a testing framework for the algorithm archive is super cool. I'm really happy with that. Is the rand package the only external dependency in the Rust program? I think so right now. But we also found that there were other issues with the Rust code in that it didn't actually generate the right fractal fern at the end. So because of that, I think there's more work to be done there, essentially is what I'm saying. Okay, let's see. So I'm trying to think of what we want to do next. So I've been streaming for about 3 hours and 30 minutes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I need to stretch a bit. Okay, so let's think about what we want to do. So we talked a lot about the abstract syntax trees, about the expression trees. Let me just write out some titles and let me see what things are, what people are happy with. 3 hours? Yeah. Well, you've been here most of the time, I think. So, I mean, if you guys need to go to sleep, I totally understand. Like, I appreciate everyone being here, actually. You guys are all great. But at the same time, don't lose sleep. I'll be here tomorrow, probably very similar time. So it's not a huge deal. Let's see, what do we have here? Sorry, I'm just looking at some of my side notifications. Okay. Cool. So let's think about what we want to do. I've got a couple of ideas. Like I said, I've got like 30 different ideas that I want to cover. So the most recent video I made was on approximate counting. I do want to do an update for that video. I'm kind of 50-50. I've been going back and forth, but I do think doing an update for that video explaining, hey, here is why I think it's still considered counting, and here's why I think you should still consider it counting, I think is really important. After that, doing a video on using abstract syntax trees to do PDE manipulation, I think could be really useful. GPT-3 is hot nowadays. Yeah, the problem with this type of stuff, I haven't really talked so much about machine learning, and I'm going to be honest, machine learning is just not interesting to me. Like, I don't know how to put it. It's like, it's like supernovas and stuff like that. Like, I guess they're interesting, but like, just, they're not something that I find, I don't know. There's something about like machine learning that I'm just not interested in. Again, I created an analog, or I was building an analog electronic brain for a while during my time at OIST, which was really cool, but that was about as deep into machine learning as I went, and I didn't really, I don't know. You're going to have access to GPUs soon. I do have access to GPUs right now. Actually, I don't have too much trouble with that. Can you also discuss future algorithm archive topics? Yeah. So let's talk about that right now, actually, since this is a good time to do that. And there's plenty of room right here. So again, the way the algorithm archive works is it's kind of a way to facilitate discussion about different areas that I want to talk about, right? So the very next thing, I actually have the chapter mostly written for the next algorithm, which is the fractal flame. Algorithm. So if you guys haven't seen the fractal flame algorithm before, let me just go over here and let's just Google fractal flame. I'm trying to move my mic around so it's not in my way, but it's essentially a way to create very interesting patterns with iterative function systems and stuff like that. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, why is this interesting? Outside of the fact that it can create very pretty pictures, well, it's interesting for two reasons. The first reason is that, well, I mean, it can actually create really pretty pictures. But the second reason is because of fractal compression. Okay, so let's start at the very start. The iterated function system is a way for people to iterate through function system. So, for example, if you have 3 points in space, actually, let me just go to the algorithm archive for this. Algorithm archive here, and let's go to the iterated function system. If you have 3 points in space, essentially what you can do is you can have each element in the space create 3 children, and those children will move in different directions. Some of them will move halfway towards point A down here in the corner. Some of them will move halfway towards B, and some of them will move halfway towards C, right? So you have 3 children all moving and creating 3 children. If you then have those children all create children, that's this one down here. And then, those children then create children again, and then create children again, and I think 1 or 2 more times. you will eventually start to see the Sierpinski triangle form. And so essentially what we're seeing here is that by iterating through a particular function set, again, this function set is just 1, move halfway towards A, 2, move halfway towards B, or 3, move halfway towards C. By restricting your movement along these paths, you can actually create a very interesting structure, right? So the fractal flame takes that one step further and says, okay, well now let's do not only 1 or 2 function sets, but like 3, 4, 5, n function sets, right? And you're able to create really, really interesting patterns, right? So doing something else here is fractal compression. So rather than trying to make a really interesting image with it, we can take a really interesting image and try to figure out in the back end what function set could recreate that image. So for example, if you have a smiley face, right? Here's your smiley face right here. The idea with fractal compression is creating a set of functions that can recreate the smiley face. So you're storing this as kind of a smaller smiley face, maybe, that's been cut up into quarters, so, really small smiley face, and also a set of equations that will allow you to go from the smiley face back up to the image again. So the idea with fractal compression is you compress the image into like quarters or something like that, so you can more easily find a function set that will allow for you to recreate the image. It's a bit lossy, but it works. And so the reason I want to talk about the fractal flame first is that the fractal flame is a way for us to create a bunch of weird functions that give us even cooler images. And then I want to talk about fractal compression, which is the other side of the coin. And here's the thing. Fractal compression research died, basically 20 years ago or something like that. But nowadays, because we have GPU technologies, which will allow us to more easily find what functions we need here, we have the fractal flame method, which allows for us to create cooler images. We can, in principle, create a better fractal flame method, or fractal compression method, that will give us, essentially, hopefully, the ability to compress an image entirely into a set of equations, like giving us an analytical representation of an image, which would be really, really cool. And so, for me in particular, this is a big research thrust of mine for a bunch of different reasons. There's actually a huge number of reasons why this is interesting. But for the next couple chapters of the algorithm archive, these are definitely coming in. Now, in terms of other chapters that are coming in, it really does depend on where we want to go from here. I was thinking about adding in some sections about parallelism in general, and in particular talking about how to do certain things in parallel that you would, algorithms that work better in parallel, so parallel reduction, or rather, algorithms that don't work very well in parallel, but you have to do one way or another. So, for example, a parallel reduction, or a summation, or something like that. But then there's also a whole bunch of other chapters in here that, I also have coming up, just kind of on the back burner. For example, physics algorithms like DMRG, dense matrix renormalization group. I've got an update for the FFTs, FFT update. And in addition, this means that we need to talk about the Fourier theorem or the convolutional theorem. And then once this is done, I need to also update the split-step Fourier method, to be a bit more up-to-date for my thesis. So this is kind of the thrust for the next few months, I think, of development. And during this time, I'm actually going to be focusing on things that are interesting publishable results as well. So for example, the fractal compression stuff at least has 3 interesting papers that we can write out of that. And so the hope is that the algorithm archive becomes a way for me to express the research interests that we have. As well as we allow the algorithm archive to expand to allow for more algorithms from other people. This is the hope, that we can allow for more community contributions. So I'm hoping that in October we can finally, open up the floodgates and just allow anyone to submit chapters to the algorithm archive, which wasn't previously available for everyone. So that's kind of the future of the algorithm archive for a bit. I need to take a step back. I think now is a good place to take a step back and try to think about, I need to sketch some of this out, but I also need to do stuff for Grant, and I kind of want to get that done now-ish. So I think I'm going to work on some stuff for Grant on the side, and then I'm going to, come back tomorrow, hopefully at 9 o'clock a.m., but it might be a bit later, to do more work here. I'm debating whether we actually want to make a video on the abstract syntax tree stuff, When I started the stream, I was pretty confident that the abstract syntax tree stuff was really useful and helpful for people in the future, and I thought it'd be something that people would be really interested in. But the more I go into it, the more I'm wondering if, like, how to tell the narrative in such a way that it's actually interesting for more people, you know? I think what would be interesting is if we could write a single line of code and see how that single line of code actively updates the like the result of the simulation or something like that. So if we could do it all in real time, that would be really cool. And I think maybe that's what we should shoot for. Okay, so let's think about it a bit more. I'm going to take a step back, sketch out some stuff, figure out where we want to go, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the next episode. Hey, Gawabunga, I think you just came in right at the last minute. I don't know if you've been here in chat before. Maybe you had. I just hadn't been paying attention. But that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Let me see if there's someone to raid at the end of stream today or not. What do we have here? We've got Strager, who's live, Go Pirate Software, who's live. Is computational linguistics stuff in the scope of the algorithm archive? I got really into computational linguistics, like really into computational linguistics, like, I don't know, not too long ago. So the answer is yes. Along with anything computationally creative, I have quite a few ideas out for doing like algorithmic composition, this type of stuff. Like, yes, I'm really interested in it. Okay, but I think that's it for now. Let's go ahead and raid. Maybe we don't do a raid tonight. Maybe it's okay not to do a raid. Yeah, let's not do a raid. I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling the, you know, every time you do a raid, you gotta like talk to the person you're raiding, and they'll be like, oh, how was stream and stuff. I'm not in the mode where I feel like I'm confident in doing that. So I'm probably just not gonna do a raid for now, and I'll leave it at this. So thank you guys so much for coming in. Have a wonderful day, night, afternoon, morning, evening. I'm so sorry. And I will see you guys next time for the next episode of Simuleos, which will be hopefully tomorrow. And just watch creepily as we do. Yeah, I know I could. I don't know. I just like, everyone's like, how was stream? And then like you kind of feel like you have to be there a bit. I'm not asking how was your stream anymore because of this. Yeah, I need to stop doing that as well. Because I know. Yeah. It's like, thank you for the raid. But then you feel bad about not saying thanks. It's a weird, complicated situation. But anyway, guys, thanks again for coming in, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.